Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're about to start the meeting. So I guess for tonight, be it resolved that the meeting be called to order and that the agenda for the meeting be adopted as circulated. Could I have a mover for that, please?
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Councilor moves, Councilor Shaggy seconds. Any comments, questions? I call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
I'd like to go down to number 3, addendum to agenda. I'd like to add in for an in-camera session, topics relating to the CAO recruitment. I wonder if I could have a mover for that, please. Councilor Bichetti moves, Councilor
Second it.
seconds it. Okay, add it to the agenda. So basically, I got some opening remarks.
Call the question. You gotta
Oh,
call-
question, sorry.
You have to call the question.
Oh, can I call the question? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? None? Thank you. Okay. Also, I've also briefly want to discuss the process and conduct of a public hearing. To begin a public hearing, a resolution is read to the public. To open up, a resolution is read to open the public hearing. Our planning begins by presenting information from his report as well as recommendation to council. Council members can then ask questions for clarification through the chair. We will then hear from the applicants, followed by those who have registered to speak in favor, those opposed, and then from those who have registered for information. At the end of this presentation, the applicant will have an opportunity to respond. At that time, no new information can be presented. Council members will have an opportunity to ask questions for clarification to the applicant or anyone registered to speak on the planning items. All questions must be made through the chair as per our procedure bylaws. We may have people here who have taken the time to come out and have registered to speak. It is our goal to hear each and every one of you tonight. I would ask that each person be as concise as possible in their comments and restrict those comments to only the application before us. If your position or the information you want to share with council is the same as other speakers who have spoken before, you can indicate this by identifying the key points of your agreement. Lastly, we want to provide a respectful setting for all who wish to be heard here tonight, regardless of their position on the matter. Respectful conduct means no interruption, heckling, applause, signs, or placards, or any kind of disruptive or intimidating behavior. These kinds of behaviors do not promote a respectful environment. Anyone who behaves in this manner will be asked to leave the council chambers. I would also request that you refrain from side conversations as they can be disruptive to the proceedings, especially with so many people here this evening. You are free to enter and exit council chambers as needed, but please do so as quietly as possible. Audio and other video recordings of the meeting proceedings are not permitted. And as for final reminders, please put all personal devices on silent. With these comments, I will read the resolution to open the public hearing.
Mr. Mayor, just on a point of order.
This point of order, go ahead.
Yeah, just, I know you kind of alluded to it, but just a warm welcome to everybody who's come here. It's good to see everybody here tonight, and especially those who are coming here for the first time. Welcome to you.
I see there's some people in the hallway. I guess if they can, for room, they can come in. If there's room to stand over to the side.
Yeah, it's pretty much standing room only now,
Yes.
but you're welcome to come in a bit, I guess.
Are you able to hear us in the hallway?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, as long as you can hear us in the hallway, as long as there isn't any many. So I guess for the first one, to open the public reading, be it resolved that this meeting of council recess for the purpose of holding a public hearing pursuant to section 105 of the Planning Act.
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
I got some more here. Is this the same?
Oh, sorry.
Yep. The public hearing was held on a manner of conditional use, 1023 for the property located on
Mr. Mayor,
this,
it's 5.1.
12,
5.1.
oh yeah, 5.1, just 5.1, okay, thank you. Can I have a mover for that, please?
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Councilor Pat moves, Councilor Campbell seconds it. We will, since this is,
Call the question.
we'll call the question, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, against? Sorry. So I guess this first public hearing is a continuation of the last one from May May 11th, so we'll be continuing where we left off. We had the planner present. We've heard from people, the applicant, and we were in the process of hearing from those opposed. The ones that have previously opposed, we will not be able to, you have already spoken, I'm going to say, unless you have new information to add to it. But those that have previously spoken have spoken, and we'll just continue on for any new people that have not spoken against this conditional use. I'm not too sure if I can ask the planner who we start with, or?
She'll just need a moment.
Okay,
We can start with people, we have some additional people in support.
okay,
We have Brendan Romish. Did you
Bren-
wish to speak to council?
I'm one
Where's-
of the applicants, so I wouldn't mind speaking at the end. I'm one of the applicants, so I wouldn't mind speaking at the end if that works.
sure, okay, yeah, that's all right, that's fine, appreciate that.
We have Sandra Darrellchuk in support.
Sandra, here?
Yes, but I'm not speaking to.
Oh, are you still in support? Yeah, okay,
Hermina Hildebrand.
you won't be, you're on support, okay?
Sid Ross.
You want to speak, or you?
Sure.
Okay, come to the front.
Come to the front.
State your name and address for the record.
My name is Sid Ross, 11 Bradley Bay.
Have a seat.
Is this,
Well, I'm an avid hunter, a shooter all my life, and this is my son. So I want to get him into it, and I'm very successful so far. He's been a cadet. He's going to join the reserves in the Army, possibly police officer, maybe even RCMP. I found that the gun club was very useful to us. Instead of not living on an acreage, being able to take my son when he was 12 and meet these great people, and able to shoot instead of us going to a gravel pit where many other people may go, and it's very, very dangerous there. So I decided that the gun club was for us, and I support it. It's a good thing for sport. It's a good thing to teach my son how to hunt and be responsible, safe, and I'm all for it.
Thank you very much. Any questions?
In support, we have Alex Ross.
Or Alex Ross?
I'm all good.
You're
We're
good?
the best.
You said, okay,
All right.
thank you.
Matthew Ritchie.
Do you wish to speak? Do you wish to speak?
Sure.
Okay.
You don't have to if you don't want to.
Who he wants to speak?
You want to speak?
Yeah, I'll
Okay.
say something, sure.
There's two of you?
Yeah, that's my wife.
Okay.
Okay. Just name and address for the record.
Matt Ritchie and Allison Ritchie. We live at 768 Willis Road. So we've been residents of West St. Paul for 11 years now, a little over 11 years. And first few years we could hear the, pop, pop, pop off in the distance and didn't know what it was, thought it was just construction going on or whatnot. Until I had a friend over who was a hunter and said, no, that's gunfire. So I was like, oh, that's intriguing. So I went to check it out and became a member myself. And I found it's great. There's a lot of great people there. Everyone I've met has been fantastic. And I watched the YouTube video of the last meeting and found it to be kind of disturbing, the comments that were made about the police being a nuisance, making a lot of noise, because it's what they're doing is an essential service. That's pretty much the only time it's really noisy there, is when there's the police activity. Most times that I'm there, I go maybe once a month, not that often. More than 75% of the time, I'm the only one there. Less than 25% of the time, there's one other person there. It's the indoor location is open Mondays and Thursdays, and every time I've gone there, there's maybe one or two people shooting, and mostly it's just a room of old men sitting around having coffee and talking. It's no different than any other type of club, like, archery or pool or bowling or anything. It's, there's no, there's comments about automatic gunfire and assault weapons and all this kind of stuff, and I've seen absolutely nothing of the sort. You know, if welcome anybody to come by and check it out if they have any concerns about it or what kind of activity is going on there. But there's nothing illegal. You know, nobody there to disturb the peace. You know, no ill intentions of any sort. Everyone that I've met there has been fantastic. What else?
And this has been a source of bonding for my son and my husband this past while, learning how to hunt, and the idea that this is, you know, a problem. We live on Willis Road. We can hear the odd pops and that. It's no different than the fireworks that are going off all the time, or the people riding their dirt bikes up and down the road, or in the country. This is a part of country living. We also hear St. Andrews airplanes going around. It's
Trains, yeah.
like-
It's a noisy environment. There's a lot of noise here for sure, but I don't find that we're about 1 kilometer away from the range, and I don't find it to be any noisier than anything else that's going on. You know, you hear people drag racing on Highway 8 all hours of the night. You know, semi trucks using their Jacob brake. It's noisy. You know. And the gun club may add to it, but it's one of maybe a dozen noisy things that are going on in the neighborhood.
and it's extremely minimal.
Yeah, it's minimal, other than, of course, when the police are training, which is, you know, pretty important. The first thing I realized about being a recent shooter is it's a lot more difficult than you'd think. You know, it's not a video game or a movie or a TV show. It actually requires a fair amount of skill and practice, and for people that carry a firearm every day, you know, our service members, our men and women in uniform, it's absolutely essential that they're properly trained, because they're the ones that are willing to step into the line of fire for us, to protect us, and to speak about them as if they're some kind of public nuisance is disturbing.
Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate your comments.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Sure.
So you were mentioning that when there's training that's happening,
Mhm.
is that the time when you're talking about the rapid fire?
Yeah, that's the only time there's rapid fire. Otherwise, it's few and far between that you hear anything coming from the range.
And when does that training occur, as far as you know?
Well, they have their the schedules up online, and you can check when they're going to be there. But I think, you know, having a better indoor facility would help alleviate that problem if they can move it indoors. You know, the problem with lead is indoor shooting is that it's old buildings that aren't properly ventilated. So, you know, they're trying to address those concerns.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
No one else registered in support. In opposition, Simon at the.
Or just hold on, Ms. Elias. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak that hasn't registered, that wants to speak in favor? Okay, thank you.
In opposition, we have Frank Kowalski.
Do you hear Frank?
Frank Kowalski?
Okay, don't see you. Next.
Richard Ursula.
Richard?
Do you wish to speak or just be registered?
Not really. Everything that I have to say has already been said, so I'll be just repeating it.
Okay.
If you wish, I can do that.
No,
That's fine if you don't want to. Okay.
Thank you very much. Your consideration. Go.
Against or in favor?
You were.
He's against.
Against, right?
I'm against it, yes.
Yes, okay.
Against is Linda Ursula.
Yes, I am.
Okay. Do you wish to speak or?
No, thank you. Ron has done a very good job of bringing us up to date on everything.
Okay, thank you.
Megan Gray Ferguson.
Megan. So you, okay,
Yeah.
by all means, come forward.
Hi.
So
Hi.
name and address, please.
Yeah, it's Megan Ferguson at 1221 Bay Road in St. Andrews. So I am 3 miles north of where the gun range is. I own and operate St. Andrews Stables for 25 years. And we have obviously been there pretty much, you know, hearing the bang, bang, occasional gunfire, to again when the RCMP started. We didn't know what was going on when it started. And we run a camp program, we run a lesson program with horses. And we were quite concerned. We had no idea the first couple of times we heard it. And then we found out through neighbors what it was. And it is very loud. Like some days it reverberates off our arena and disturbs our horses. So we actually cancel classes or we wait. In those, they typically are during the day. So we wait for our lessons to continue, but we're definitely opposed to it. It seems to be extremely loud and getting louder as they practice or whatever. And we're avid gun people too. We hunt, but nothing like that.
Anyone, any questions?
No.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Eleanor Link.
Eleanor Link, 1045 Toshack Road. I have 3 reasons to object. First thing is the exemptions to the bylaws. The planner's report did not contain the information about exemptions from the bylaws. Why was some of the information only available at the public hearing on May 11th on a slide presentation, not in the written report? So if you hadn't watched the video, you wouldn't know about the exemptions to the noise bylaw and to the shooting bylaw. Well, and I question why there was no ability to comment on the planner's part about a permit that had apparently been issued by the municipality for the use on site. I looked at the noise bylaw again. Section 410 was quoted, and that and several other sections pertain to exemptions, and they all pertain to short-term objections like parades, concerts, fireworks displays. So you can get an official permit. A permit's an official document, and it gives you an authorization to do something, and it gets issued. Why, when a permit was issued, which was an official document, why can't it be found? What was the permit number? What was authorized by the permit? What time period was covered by the permit? Councillor Kleiber asked questions about the bylaws, and there was quite a back and forth conversation, but no clear information resulted from those questions. The planner stated that a permit might have to do with business license, but the RM doesn't have business licenses. On the video, I heard there was a copy of the permit. Why not? Then, the next reason to object, so lack of information. That information should be available in order to make a good decision. The next reason is the 1993 conditional use. On May 11th, we heard that the 1993 conditional use did not limit activities of the gun club. The gun club's letter, in fact, the letter of intent this go-round, says that that conditional use was to allow to build a structure and a retaining wall. Well, and they needed that CO to get a building permit. The gun club did act on that conditional use. So why is it relevant anymore? The structure was constructed. And I suspect that conditional use would have used the wording, which you can read on practically, well, I think probably every conditional use. And that wording is, the conditional use approval is limited to what is proposed in this application. Any changes in use or additions will require a new conditional use application. Those are the rules, and I'm sure they were the same back in 1993 when that conditional use was granted. So, before the gun club started renting out their facilities, everything was fine. But their use and their intensity of use for the facility changed. So, they should have had to apply for a new CU, a new conditional use, because it wasn't that use that they were now renting out their building, has got nothing to do with building a facility. Once the gun club started to rent out its facilities to the RCMP and the Winnipeg Police Department, the use changed. It wasn't just for members anymore. It was a new use, which was a training facility. And the gun club administrators did not apply for that new CU use as required. And they have been running their rental business unrelated to their not-for-profit status for many years. The planner's report did not mention this responsibility on the part of the gun club administrators. And the third reason to object, the applicant's letter of intent states, we need to upgrade our facilities, construct an upgraded facility. The planner's report states the CU, the conditional use, is to upgrade the facilities, which entails the construction of a new upgraded indoor range on site. Well, does it entail anything else? I think I heard enough talk from the applicant. I think it does entail other improvements. But we don't have that information, so that, again, are we short on information? Unfortunately, the planner's report and what we heard from the applicant, I think, is unclear. Those are my three reasons. Thank
Any
you.
questions? No? None? No, thank you very much.
No.
Appreciate it. Any more objections from the?
We have Jerry Palenki registered both against and for information.
Vote against and for information?
I would go against it.
For information?
Are you looking for, or just for information?
Okay.
Do you wanna?
We have others that are against.
Oh, sorry, hold on. Okay, we gotta go with the others. Okay.
Norma Albert?
Okay, Norma Albert.
Norma Alberg, 312 Evelyn Avenue.
Okay.
I am opposed to the continuing use of this shooting range as it currently exists, and so by extension am opposed to the conditional use application. Because there is an extension of both lead and sound beyond this designated lot, there is a responsibility on the part of the RM of West St. Paul to ensure the control of these hazards on other property exterior to the shooting range property. When the shooting range first moved to Miller Road, we were very rural, and the population at the time was 1,623. And then in 1961, during a census, was 2,032. The 2021 census had tripled to 6,682, and we're now well over 7,000. So we're not a rural area anymore, and the fit for this, which originally when it came in was to be a gun club, was not a bad fit. And then, as stated by the previous presenter, this changed when it became more of a business, and it was a training facility that was rented out. This is a change, it's a significant change in their business use, and thus, in my mind, it's a violation of the 1993 conditional use. If you look at what was issued to them in 1993, it just doesn't give any detail. It says that they wish to alter an existing shooting range. That's what was written in the resolution. If you look at the application that was given to, at that time, Selkirk Planning District, again, similar to what Mrs. Link said, there's not all the information available in this application that was filled out by the applicants, 1993, proposed changes were from shooting range and gun club to a conditional use for a shooting range and gun club. So there's no information there. We have to rely on what else is in records. Reasons in support in this application, it says as per attached. But I received this from Selkirk Planning and there was no attached. So if we're going to allow inadequate information in the formal summary sheet, then we certainly need to be keeping better archival information or making sure that it's all available. You are left in a position to make a difficult decision, and in order to make that best informed decision, you need all of the information. Back in even 1993, I'm not even going to go back to mid-century. Yes, I was born, but I'm not going there. To the 1993 application, at that time, there were many things in workplace hazards that were not understood, and certainly the relationship to subsequent injury and illness was not well understood. Since that time, we've come a long way. Just in this year's National Day of Mourning for Workers, this year the mention was given to 3 city firefighters who died of work-related cancers. In 1993, we didn't understand that. But back, and if I'll go once to the 1950s, we didn't even understand asbestos. We were building our buildings, building our homes using asbestos. By 1993, we very well understood the hazards. We have understood the hazards of lead and noise for a long time. The earlier workplace safety threshold for noise was at 90 decibels. It was decades ago that we realized that 90 decibels was too much. In fact, the current one now is at 85 decibels. At that point, the employer must provide all exposed workers with protection. If a worker is at 80 decibels, believes that they are being exposed to a hazard, they can request and the employer must provide for them. So now we're down to 80 decibels, and we have heard the numbers and the recordings from the rapid firing. And those decibels are well above, even on the neighboring properties, they're registering in the 80s. And it's well established for the decibel levels. We always thought that the airplane jet engine was one of the highest ones. It was generally registers at 140 decibels. And anybody working on the tarmac around the ramp, they will be having double hearing protection on. At the gun firing range in ballistic fire, the decibel level is 156 to 170 decibels. So those people who are firing at the range, they absolutely are protecting their hearing. But in order to mitigate that hearing, there are standards that are in place, and those standards are not met at this firing range. There's an extensive 42-page document specifically on sound, which is actually the RCMP's document. So certainly if they are using that range, they should be abiding by their own standards document, and this range in no way does abide by that. There's a second document that the RCMP have, which is range design and construction guidelines. That one goes to 160 pages. And it talks about, again, mitigating measures for lead, safety areas for people outside of the immediate firing range. They have calculated areas for, depending on what ballistic is in use at the time, and the proximity of the homes to this firing range to use the specific rapid fire that the tactical teams are using, that does not qualify under these standards. So again, back to the original one, where it was a gun club with people coming and doing firing and teaching their family to to fire. That was amenable to the surrounding area and probably still is. But the business changed in my understanding around the mid 2015, 2016. And their business use changed specifically from that of a club coming to enjoy that camaraderie and do independent target shooting to a full-fledged training facility for police forces. And yes, those police forces need that, but they should also, they have determined the standards that are required for them and the community to be safe at all points from both ballistic and noise. And that is what should be happening there. This is a difficult decision for you this evening, and I understand that, because I believe that if this conditional use is not granted this evening, my understanding is that we revert to the earlier conditional use, which has no standards on it at all. And I believe that these standards have to be rigidly put in place. This is not 50 years ago, it's not 30 years ago, it's 2023, and the standards of practice for firing ranges are very well established, if indeed by the RCMP themselves. And those need to be in place, and I will restate that I believe that they are in violation of the 1993 conditional use by the manner in which they aggressively changed the nature of their business. Thank you.
Council, have any questions? Councilor Paquette?
Yeah, thank you very much for your delegation. Would I be able to examine the application for the conditional use that you were referencing?
I have it from Red River Planning. I'm sure the planner has it, and he may have even the attached ones that did not come to me.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
In opposition is Rod Snyder.
See here, Rod?
Not here.
No, nothing, okay.
Ian Bryden.
Ian? Oh, okay.
Reg Croker.
Reg? Oh, don't see him. Next.
Nathan Kicker.
Nathan?
Yeah, I believe everything will be said on my behalf.
Okay, thank you very much.
Trevor Stefanko.
Trevor? No, it's going there. Is he on the hallway, Trevor? No, he's not. No, he's only, okay.
Nicholas Staring. Right here.
Nicholas? Okay, by all means, come forward, please. That is if you wish to speak.
Yes.
Yes, you do? Okay. Or there's,
My husband John.
oh, yeah, okay, oh, he's got a presentation, okay.
He has handouts for each of you.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
If you give it to the CEO.
So my name is Nicola Stern, and we live at 1387 Miller Road. My husband, John Stern.
Okay.
We live at the second residence just west of the Winnipeg, the WRPA, beside Ron and Heather Lewick, who presented here on May the 11th. We've owned our property for over 25 years, and since 2016, we've also noticed a substantial increase in the level and volume of shooting at 1201 Miller Road. Together with the Lewicks, we contracted a company to perform an environmental noise study from the Lewicks property on June 22nd of 23. That's handout A in your package.
What's
Handout A.
handout A?
As per the study results, the decibel levels coming from the WRPA are extremely high, so much so that hearing protection should be worn on neighboring properties. We would also like to note that since the May 11th hearing, the activity at the WRPA between 9 a.m. and 9:15 a.m. on weekends has become a steady occurrence. Not only shooting soon after 9 a.m., but very large bore, very loud shooting for 5 to 10 minutes, then nothing until 10 a.m. Instead of listening to the advice given on May 11th, ranges must accommodate themselves to their changing neighborhoods, the WRPA has chosen for the direct opposite approach, proving yet again that they do not want to fit into our community.
So, in recent months, the potential lead contamination of the area has become a major concern. We own over 100 acres to the west of the WRPA site. Further to the Lewick presentation on May 11th, both lead contamination and pollution from carcinogenic hydrocarbons from the WRPA site are worrying. We request the council create a requirement for the WRPA to generate an environmental stewardship plan as well as a full site Phase 2 environmental study to assess the level of contamination and requirements for remediation. Another item discussed on May 11th was the need for a drainage plan at the WRPA site due to the property being on low-lying land. We would like to continue this train of thought. We question that if during long periods of standing water in the springtime, are the lead, dust, and other contaminants being carried away by overland flooding? See handouts B and C in your package. Are the contaminants being carried beyond the WRPA property and spread through the community? How far has the contamination gone?
For additional information, we have also included excerpts from the Contaminated Sites Remediation Act of Manitoba, see handout D, and an environmental health fact sheet regarding lead exposure at Manitoba firing ranges, see handout E. We are opposed to this application until the noise and environmental safety issues have been addressed. In conclusion, if the funds are available to build a new indoor gun range, then the priority of those funds should be for sound mitigation and remediation of the contaminated site first before moving forward.
Thank you. Does council have any questions?
Just a quick question. I'm just looking at this for the first time. So, D.
Okay.
What is it? What is it essentially saying here?
Okay, handout D.
D, right?
Yeah, D.
Oh,
Like
about the lead, the contamination.
I'm just trying to catch up to you. What is it? What is it? Can you summarize what this handout is saying for us?
Well, there's an actual procedure for remediating what?
Oh, the contaminated
The
site.
contaminated site, yes.
Oh, okay. Okay. So that's what you'd like to see is
Yes,
for them to.
yes.
Okay. I'll leave. Thank you.
Councilor Campbell, go ahead.
So have you guys had your well or water samples tested at all lately and any issues with those?
Yeah, we have, and there's no lead in ours currently. However, with the water, the drainage going east, we're on the west side, so we're, one would like something on the east tested as well.
Yeah, the drainage was more, well, the drainage plan was so that if they put up a new building, that it wouldn't be sitting on low land.
And just another question on your submission A.
Okay.
So from this testing from Winnipeg Air Testing,
Yep.
From the Lewick's property there, at 1377 Miller, it's confirming, you're confirming that the decibel levels between 88 and 92 decibels is out?
Correct.
What they're saying? Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else have any questions? None? So just wait. So the noise testing that was done, what was the time frame? Like how long was it done? Was it done over 8 hours, 5 hours, 10 hours?
It was done over how many hours?
2 hours.
2 hours. 2 hours?
That's all they needed.
Right?
That's all they needed.
Oh, that's all you need? Okay, 2 hours of testing. Okay, so that's where it was. So it goes from 127 to, it's pretty consistent. Go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, I think, look at page 4. Is where the results were, I believe.
Oh, here, so.
Oh, sorry.
So that graph, that testing, what are these graphs? What's figure 1, table 1 and figure 4 about them?
Table 1 and figure 4?
On page 2, yes.
Mr. Mayor, I can clarify for you.
No,
Yes, it's okay, because he was physically there when the testing was done.
oh, he was?
Yes, we did it together, but he was physically there.
Oh, okay. Okay, go ahead.
He's just providing clarification to a question that we're having, so I think it's okay.
Yes, what
Yeah,
is-
you gotta come to the table, sir.
What is the question?
The question is explanation of table 1 on the second page, and I think just a graph on page 3, at the top of page 3.
Table 2 is guns with and their decibel rating from shooting on page 2. Okay, what's the next
That's
question?
not the guns that were there.
No, it's the guns, the RCMP shooter at the top of the page, the carbine C8s.
Yeah, I just want to say, so the page 4.
Page
up at
4.
the top is the actual decibels that were reported, is it not?
Page 8. It's actually page 8. There's a summary of the decibels.
What shows?
Oh, is that where they tested?
Yes.
It shows on page 4. It's just, it's.
So, okay, I guess we're just wondering.
What is your question?
So what was, when you did the noise testing?
We did the noise testing with a decimeter in a slow setting and a medium setting.
Okay.
But the proper way you test firearms is a impulse decimeter, which is very, very expensive. There's nothing in Winnipeg.
Yeah.
The RCMP, who this gentleman we hired, has done testing for the RCMP, and he rents those decimeters out of the States, and they're much more sensitive. So what he states, if you'll notice on the last page, or on page 8, actually, what Peter talks about, the highlighted section, impulse setting. The numbers would have been higher, thus the numbers in the above table underestimate the values of the DBA AI, I meaning impulse measurements that gun range noise guidelines are cited in. So at 88 and 92 in fast response, it would be much louder in impulse response.
That-
That
Yes.
answer your question?
So were they checking for impact also, impact noise, or that's what you're asking, that's what the test did?
No, the test is it's a decimeter for decibel levels.
Yes,
So it's
right.
between 88 and 92, that's what his equipment could register at.
Oh, okay, and that was over a 2-hour period?
Correct.
Okay.
So I have a question.
Rob
Do you-
Baumann?
Do you know, I know there's been sound studies at St. Andrews Airport. Do you have
Yep.
do you know what those numbers are?
No, I do not.
So then,
But impulse, I'll just clarify, impulse, gun shooting is much louder than anything else. It's impulse. It's a totally different type of testing. So the RCMP, it costs thousands of dollars when they test it in their indoor range downtown at their facility, and they bring in that equipment because it's a specialized decimeter.
so on page 4 then, they talk about 55 decibels between 7 and 9. And
That's the RCMP. If you wanted to start a gun range right now, you would have to, you fall under their guidelines right now. You're not grandfathered in, you're a new gun range. And in Ontario, you have to be 55 decibels at your property line, or at I think it's 45 decibels at your property line and 55 at neighboring properties.
Okay.
So this just refers all to the RCMP's guidelines now. And anything grandfathered in Ontario, right? If you have a gun range, they test you for 70 decibels at your property line.
For 70 decibels at
Yeah,
your property.
that's the grandfathered in. Manitoba has no guidelines.
I have a follow-up question. So on page 9, the last sentence of Mr. Doug Wiley says here, both the measured noise level and estimated noise level are 92 decibels at the eastern edge of your property.
Yep.
These values exceed the noise guidelines for gun ranges by at least 20 decibels. So
By the RCMP guidelines.
I see, okay.
So if you started a gun range tomorrow,
Yeah.
you have to go by their guidelines.
So on average, basically what's happening here is that they're exceeding the average.
That's a
noise.
low number,
Yeah.
because that's not the right, proper way of measuring it.
Okay.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone have got any more questions? Okay. Thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it.
We have Duarte Cabral in opposition.
Mr. Cabral?
Bob Scott.
Bob Scott? Okay.
Hi, Bob Scott.
269 Balders Road, new resident West St. Paul. This is just a follow-up to what was earlier said. As of May 11th meeting, there's been absolutely no lead remediation of any kind done in the last 65 years, is what I was told. The potential for the lead fragments, dust, and other toxic hydrocarbons by byproducts of the shooting process to migrate from the gun club's property to neighboring properties and the community watershed, and eventually possibly the aquifer. Numerous other gun ranges in Canada have taken steps to remediate their lead, either by provincial environmental enforcement and compliance orders, or of their own accord out of the concern for the surrounding community. The threat posed by the topography of the close proximity of adjacent properties, less than 100 meters, to the gun club property should make this a top priority before future expansion of any kind after the lead remediation is complete. A lead management program should be put in place to prevent further lead contamination of the soil at that time.
Council, any questions? No? Okay, thank you very much for your comments.
Gloria Heck.
Gloria? Information on? Okay.
Kathy Tureen.
Daffy?
I'm good, everybody's.
What's your position, sorry? Are you against or?
I'm against.
Against, okay.
S. Olenek.
Oh, that would be me.
Okay, you want to come up or you want to say anything or?
Well, I don't know. I'm not against it, so I don't know if you want to hear from me.
Oh, you're not against it, so are you?
Are you in favor or?
I'm in favor.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so then you should.
So I don't know whether you want to let me speak or not.
You get an opportunity to speak your position, so.
Yeah.
I do?
Yeah. Your name's been called, so you can speak your position.
My name is Stephen Olnick. I live in the RM of Rockwood. I am a member of the WRPA for the last almost 30 years. I have some questions about the opposition to this. We've been here for approximately 50 minutes, and not one person has voiced any objections to the new indoor range, which was the process of why we're here today. We've heard complaints about noise, we've heard complaints about the RCMP, we've heard complaints about the water, contamination. Fine, I'm all good for talking about that, but that's not why we're here. We had a lady and a gentleman here at May 11th, and they said that they had done their due diligence before they bought their property. Well, I think their due diligence stopped the day they started, because I don't imagine anybody in this room is driving a vehicle that was built in 1976. Do we? Anybody? As a daily driver? No. Why would we? We've progressed. We've moved on. We have ABS brakes. We have touchscreens. We have lane avoidance materials. Well, firearms are no different. The firearms, I've been a shooter for 65 years. The firearms of my youth are long gone. We have progressed, and just like technology in firearms or vehicles, technology has changed in firearms. The firearms of my father and my childhood are gone. Now, I had a problem with Mr. Busetti at the May 11th meeting. I believe you were the gentleman who stated that we had a flooding problem and it was up to us to remediate it. Is that correct?
Sir, you can just make a presentation, but you can't have a back and forth.
Oh, okay. Well, what I'd like to say is that I do have some experience with flooding at the club. In about 2011, our club was flooded very badly. I did some investigating and I found that the north ditch on Miller Road flowing east towards number 8 highway was full. When I got to number 8 highway, I find that the west side of number 8 highway, the water was flowing so fast that the water coming from the west on Miller Road had no chance to enter the ditch and go away. So that backed up our water. So I approached the municipality and I talked to the environmental officer and we met and discussed things. And I said, can you not put an AFG on the culvert there? And then we'll have a day or two to drain and then you can open it up again. Well, he said, that's not us, that's the highways. So after about a half a day of tracing around, I found out that Portage of Prairie looks after the roads here. Hard to believe, but it's true. So when I approached them, they said, it's not us, it's the municipality. All the other municipalities have joined together to create a water resource board, and West St. Paul won't join. So it's their fault. So I phoned the West Kildonan or West St. Paul office again to speak to the environmental officer. I was told he didn't work here anymore. So telling us that it's up to us to drain the water, which is backed up by highways, is a little rich. I hear the people complaining about the RCMP. I haven't looked at the website. I don't know how many days per year the customs, conservation officers, and the RCMP train on our range. I don't know. Customs officers were issued handguns about 10 to 12 years ago. Their job has changed. They're not looking to see whether you overspent going to Grand Forks on the weekend. They've got human trafficking, they've got drug trafficking, and they got firearms trafficking they got to look out for. They've been armed. Their job is a lot more dangerous than it used to be. Same thing with conservation. They used to be issued shotguns years ago, and they now have sidearms. Well, most of them have to be trained to use a sidearm. They don't have. Same thing the RCMP. Their job. How many of us heard of Al Qaeda or Hezbollah 20 years ago? None, I'm sure. So we've asked the RCMP to do much different jobs. They're now in Haiti, providing policing in Haiti. The RCMP. That's what we're training them for. So their job has changed dynamically from what they signed up for when they joined. So we're asking them to do a completely different job than they did a few years ago. So I look at it and I say, like I say, I don't know how many days a year those people train. Those 3 government agencies, we count on them. When you get in trouble, what do? You phone the police. What are we supposed to do when they answer the phone and say, well, gee, we haven't trained for that. We don't really know what to do, but have a good day and I hope it works out well for you. No, you expect them to jump on their horse and come. So everything in this world has a cost. Everything has a price. If we expect the customs, the conservation, and the RCMP to protect us and save us from damage, excuse me, I'm getting a little dry, I would expect that we should cut them some slack and say, look, they need the training, they have to have the training, they're doing the job, they need to be, we won't want to send somebody out there without a firearm, without proper training. So if the RCMP are shooting at 223 there a couple times a year, I'm willing to go for it. I realize these people don't like it, but I also look at the RM and say they've got some responsibility here. The RM responsibility is they issued building permits without telling people, look, there's a gun club right next door to you. Are you aware of that? Does that concern you? If you don't like it, don't build a house here. Don't buy a house here. It's as simple as that. If we don't let them train at our club, those 3 government agencies, where are they supposed to go? Where do they go, Councillor Patrick? Mayor? Mr. Bassetti? Mr. Campbell? Where do they go? Where do they go?
Subject of the hearing?
No, the subject of the hearing was...
Just wait. So just, you know, go ahead, make your comments, and then we'll ask you questions later.
Okay, I figure I'm done. Thanks for your
okay,
time.
good. Just hold it.
Hold on, I want to ask you some
Sure.
questions.
We have questions.
Now, you're saying you're into the, you know, are we driving 1976 vehicles? No, we've updated our times because they're more efficient. You know, they're quieter, they're getting us better gas mileage and everything. The guns shot from the early 70s to the guns shot now, how much higher power, how higher power are they? Have the berms, have the sound deadening, has anything been updated at the range? This is my turn to talk now as I let you, and I stayed out of it while you were doing that. So you're asking us if we're doing our due diligence? Well, yes, we are. As you were saying, we've all updated our vehicles with the sign of the times for better. Has the gun range, now that it's wanting to shoot higher powered rifles, guns, everything like that, I haven't seen anything in my information saying that they're going to update berms or anything, or mitigation to what has already been done.
Could I answer that?
Go
I'm
ahead.
not finished yet. so.
Sorry.
We were told last meeting by a presenter for the gun club that the RCMP was there on a temporary basis using that site as theirs was getting updated. So you're contradicting that, saying this is the range that they use.
No, I said I don't know how many times a year they come there. I said they use it, but I don't know how many times.
But they're there updating their gun range.
Okay,
So there's, again, I'm getting to, has there been updates done to this gun range since everything was approved? I'm not gonna get into your water issue. I'm talking, they were saying they don't wanna do a land drainage study, which does not count, it's not the property outside of them, it's their property right where they're trying to build the building. That's just part of building anywhere that you may go. But what I'm getting at is, you're saying that we have all updated ourselves to the times, but there's been no change from this gun club from then till now, and it's wanting to shoot higher power rifles. That's all I
not
have
the
to say.
case. If you look at the firearms issued to the military, to the police, you will find that they are less powered. In my day, it was a 308 and a 30-06. You're down to a 223, which is like that. It's a 70 grain bullet. The other thing is, has anybody mentioned how many times has the RCMP rented the club in 2023? Anybody know? They're 1,500 members short. They can't afford to have anybody come to the club for training because they can't spare them from their duties in the detachments. So, really and truly, we're complaining about a problem that doesn't exist right now. And if there's 1,500 people out right now that they don't have, how many people turned in their retirement papers today? How many next week? Next month?
I
You
think
know?
we're getting to places where we can't answer.
I know, but
No
what I'm
major-
saying is
like-
the 1,500 people that they're short,
Yeah.
it's a greater number than that. So when are they ever going to come back, if ever?
So, we don't have those answers, and we don't know what they are, but.
Neither do I.
We appreciate your comments.
Okay.
Unless, wait, okay, go ahead.
Thank you for your presentation. What's your perspective and understanding of the conditional use of 1993? And what's your perspective in terms of, you've heard some comments from residents about noise and other things like that, primarily noise. What's your perspective on perhaps updating that conditional use?
I don't know. I have never read the conditional use, so I can't speak to that.
What's your understanding of it?
I don't have one. I really don't. If I've never read it, I don't understand what's in it when it's not in there. As far as noise goes, if you're a shooter,
Let me just help you.
it's
on
not
this.
noise.
Let me just help you. So it's my understanding that the conditional use allows an exemption to the noise. What's your perspective now, knowing that piece of information, in terms of updating that, perhaps to be more sensitive to the evolution of the neighborhood?
That's part of the problem we've got, is the neighborhood has changed around us. The municipality, not generally speaking you 4 or 5 individuals, but the municipality issued building permits to people to build houses too close to the club without warning them and saying, hey, look, if you don't like the noise, don't build here. But they did. This reminds me a lot of Manitoba Sugar. In the 1940s, Manitoba Sugar built their plant way out in Fort Garry. And over the years, Fort Garry and then Unicity after '72 allowed businesses and houses to come real close to the plant. And sure as shooting, come September when the campaign started, everybody complained about the noise and the smell. Well, why did they build there? You know?
So as a follow-up to that, my first question then, we're here to deal with a conditional use application for a new building.
Yes.
If that building gets if that conditional use gets turned down, then what happens?
I would assume the club will look at, well, I can't speak to the president and the vice president here, I should rather let them speak to
Okay,
it.
just your own perspective.
My own perspective is that we will continue using the indoor ranges we have. It was put up for the Pan Am Games in 1967. The club converted it to a range on our own because we wanted it someplace to shoot in the wintertime, and we didn't have that at that time. So I assume we will try and improve the existing building. It is showing its age. You know, it's 60, almost 60 years old now. So I assume that's what we'll do. We will try and repair the building we've got.
So you're a member of the club?
Yes, I am.
Are you a part of the leadership of the club?
No, I have served on the board in the past,
Okay.
but I'm not in there anymore. I'm just a regular member now.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you very much for your time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening.
In opposition is Detlef Intimate.
Do you want to speak? A couple of you, come forward.
Detlef Hindemith, 948 Miller Road. I'm in opposition to the conditional use of the additional renovations or new building they want to construct, as well as I'm in general opposition to this facility. So I wasn't able to make the 11th meeting, so I've heard a lot of the comments today, but I'll try hopefully not repeat what's been said. But West St. Paul has seen a dramatic shift in development in the last 20, 30 years. Much different than when this gun range was first established. And the proximity of this range to the residential areas is much too close. It's much too close. The residential lots are smaller, there's more residential lots, and it is far too close. So that's one thing, it's too close. So further development of this gun range, it's only going to aggravate things. There's always tension between the gun range and the residents. And maybe you don't hear about a lot of the complaints because a lot of people don't complain. They think, well, what's the sense? Nothing's going to change. Nothing will happen. They just put up with it, but they don't like it. And they shouldn't have to put up with it. This is, they're a residential area, and I know the gun range is in an agricultural area, but they butt up against each other, which is conflicting, and it's a problem. So, as well as the additional conditional use that you are now looking at, council actually needs to reconsider whether this is the proper home for this gun range. And I've heard a lot of comments about the RCMP need it and law enforcement and this and that, and that's all true, but it doesn't mean it has to be here. There's probably a lot of other more suitable locations this gun club could set up at where they're not going to have these problems. So they have to really consider whether this even belongs here, particularly with the development coming in. I mean, the Creeks is developing between Miller and Jackman, or is supposed to be, as well as further potential development on the west side of number 8. Eventually that's going to happen. I mean, that's very close to the gun range, right across the street from it. And you're going to be stifling that kind of development. As well, you got Fulsher, Lawson, Rushman Road. Those are all in close proximity to the gun range. I moved here in 1997. It wasn't too bad. Occasional shots here and there. But it's becoming ever more increasingly loud and frequent. It just become much more loud and obtrusive, and it's very annoying. And it can go on from morning to evening, sporadic times. I can't tell you it's always between 9 and 11 or 3 and 5 or 8 and 10. It's different times of the day at different times of the year as well. It's always changing. I'm not sure exactly what weapons they are using, but it would sound like they are more powerful weapons, possibly high caliber weapons, possibly even something like a semi-automatic. And I can't say for sure that that's what they are using, but these gunshots are so frequent. Like, it's not an occasional shot like a hunter. You get a shot and it rings out and it's gone. It's pop, 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 and it keeps going on and on and on. So you're sitting on your deck, you're trying to enjoy your evening, and you're listening to World War III a kilometer away. It's very, very annoying. So it's very conflicting to have this sort of a use in a residential area. The other thing is, living right on Miller, I see a fair bit of traffic going to that gun range because it's a nice way to access it from number 9 highway. If they increase function of this facility, it's going to increase traffic. I don't want to see more traffic. There's more than enough traffic. We don't need any more traffic. And Miller Road is one of the shortest roads to use. Of all the roads from our boundary until Grassmere Road, Miller is the shortest distance between Highway 8 and Highway 9. So a lot of people use that highway, but a lot of them are using it to get to the gun range too. The road itself, as you know, it's a gravel road. It's not really supportive of more traffic. I mean, you do your best to maintain it, dust control and everything else, but it's not really designed for more traffic. Not at all. It would never was intended for that. It's been touched on about the water issue there. The area is subject to overland flooding. Drainage is very poor. There's different reasons for that. Might not be necessarily the gun facility's fault that it's like that, but it is. And then you have to consider, well, now what sort of on-site wastewater management are they using? Are they using a septic field? Or are they just spraying it onto the field? What are they going to use for the new facility? You know, and if it's a field they have, how old is that field, and is it leaching into the aquifer, which affects everybody. We heard about the lead contamination, which is very concerning. I mean, we all have wells. We're not on a potable water system from the municipality. Also, I have a concern about the Rockwood sensitive area and how this additional facility will create additional draw on the water aquifer and possibly draw that sensitive area closer to the more eastern part of the municipality. I'd sent in some documents to planning. I don't know if they still have them for that 11th meeting with the map of the Rockwood sensitive area, just to show actually how large it is and how close it is to this gun club.
We received it.
You received it? Yeah. So you're right on the boundary there. So if you start drawing more water into that area, it's only going to draw that sensitive area and the plume even closer and potentially create a hazard, which we don't obviously want. Nobody wants that. The other thing I guess I'd like to address is, you know, under the Planning Act as a council, you have responsibilities. This conditional use, it needs to be compatible with the surrounding area. And the surrounding area is not just the agricultural land in front of it. It's the surrounding area is the surrounding area. And there's a lot of residential around this surrounding area now. That wasn't there when this gun club first became into operation, but it's here now. And so it's not really compatible to have this conditional use become approved, or even to have this gun club functioning. And I'm hearing from others that the conditional use they applied for in 1993 isn't even quite valid, which I just learned today, but that's interesting. But you have to be looking after the welfare of the citizens here, and that is your responsibility, and the effect that this gun club is going to have on these properties. I mean, you just have to. And as the gun club doesn't meet this criteria, I think council should strongly consider not approving the application and revisit the original conditional use and see what can be done with that to remediate what's there. And you know, possibly even, just thinking ahead out of the box, work with the gun club to look at relocating, help them find another suitable property. This is going to be a headache for them. This is going to be an uphill battle. You know, it just doesn't belong where it is. It's just not suitable. And yeah, that's basically just what I thought I'd have to tell you.
Yeah, thanks for coming down and making your delegation. You're a long-time resident on Miller. So I just want to explore a couple of points that you made. So you mentioned like you moved there in 1997, you said. And at the time you said that that it wasn't, well, first I want to say that you also referenced the rapid fire and how that was a bit of an annoyance, like many other people mentioned. But in 1997, when you moved to Miller, you said something like it wasn't so bad. So, and then you also mentioned that you maybe think that this is now the wrong location because of the evolution of what's happening at the gun club with the rapid fire. So, if they went back to the ways that were in 1997, would you be amenable to having the gun club there, or what are your thoughts on that?
I think in general it doesn't belong here anymore, just because of the increased residential development that's coming and wants to come, and it's going to be a problem. I mean, definitely it was much less. The noise was less, the frequency was less. It was less annoying. It was still there, but much less. But even with that, it's still not going to be suitable to have a gun range beside a residential area. They don't fit. They don't fit. If it was 20, 30 kilometers away, that's fine. It's like a kilometer, if even that. I'm not sure what the distance is. It's very close. And there's houses right beside it.
Councillor Campbell?
Just a couple questions. You referred to that, you know, they're gonna draw down the aquifer. Why would, you know, even if they put up a new building, they're not, you know, using sprinkler systems and stuff like that, so I don't really understand how that would come into play about drawing down the aquifer.
Yeah, I'm just saying any additional draw on the aquifer can make a difference to the aquifer. I don't know how much use of water they're going to use in this new facility. I really don't have any information about that. Wasn't provided. But who knows, right?
You watering your lawn would probably do more to the aquifer than what this new building would do, in just my opinion.
Yeah. Maybe they'll water their lawn too. I don't know.
And then, you know, you'd said a few times that, you know, they should move 20, 30 kilometers away. Well, one thing, this business was 20 kilometers or 15 kilometers away at one point. So you move them once, at some point during, you know, evolution, you're gonna have to, you don't wanna move them again. So, you know, I understand there's been evolution of the sound of the club. I personally think that the club should, you know, they should have been already since the last meeting, doing something to the berms and doing something for the sound mitigation to sort of see if it would help and appease some of the residents in the short time that we've done it. Or, you know, that's my recommendation, what they should have been doing or should be doing going forward, you know, before they even try to go forward with the building. Like, I'm not opposed to the gun club. You know, I understand, you know, I'm a car guy, so same thing, right? The St. Andrews Airport opened up a racetrack, and people complained about the noise about the cars racing, but they didn't complain about the noise from the airplanes. And so while we were sitting, I'd asked someone else about the decibel level. I contacted my friend there who had done a noise study at the airport. So planes are between 65 and 90 decibels, and helicopters are 105, is what he had said when he did his sound testing at the airport. So just information for everybody to have.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you for your time.
Okay,
Appreciate
thank
your
you.
comments.
We don't have anyone else registered in opposition.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in opposition that hasn't had a chance to speak?
Can I do have something new, can I add? I won't be long, I promise.
Sorry, did you speak last time?
I did. But you said, in the beginning, Mr. Mayor, you said if there was new, I could speak.
Yep.
I promise I won't be long,
Good.
I swear.
Go ahead.
Can
As
Ron
long-
come with me?
As long as it's new information.
Okay. Well, it's a clarification of things that were said. Okay, so I just want to say.
Just clarify the name and address again.
Oh, sorry, Heather Lewick, 1377 Miller Road, and my husband Ron. First of all, we're not anti-cop or anti-RCMP. We are pro-cop. We love the police. They are awesome. They have to train. They do not have to train in West St. Paul. So, and we've spoken to many members of the RCMP, my husband and I, mainly him, and they know that they're too loud for West St. Paul. They don't even want to be there. They know that they're a nuisance to the community. They're aware of it. So they can go train somewhere else. I find it, I gotta be careful what word I use, but I find it kind of mind-blowing that they have to train there and nowhere else. They can train somewhere else. They just need to leave West St. Paul. They are way too loud. And the zero this year, no. They've trained for weeks this year. That's when our noise study was done, when the cops were there. So they trained for weeks and weeks and weeks. So I'm just saying, sorry. Do you want me to stop?
Just to
I'm
your
sorry.
new information.
I'm sorry,
Just because
I'm
that's what
sorry.
that's the only
I'm
thing
sorry.
you should be bringing up.
Okay, there was, I'm not satisfied that an original conditional use document exists. I'm not satisfied. I think it was done on a wink and a handshake in the Old Boys Club. When the gun club first started, show me the money. Where is the document? Where is the original conditional use document? Okay, sorry. And further to what Mrs. Link said, I'm not satisfied that they have an amendment or any kind of permit that exempts them from the noise nuisance. If I'm not mistaken, the noise bylaw was created in 2006. What's been done since 2006? We have one last thing.
Just
My-
hold it. Just-
Sorry.
You know what, so far what you present isn't really.
I'm sorry, we do have.
Councillor Claver has a comment.
Okay.
Sorry. Oh,
Mayor Churchin, you're allowing a rebuttal in a planning hearing. Those are in favor and in opposition have one chance. This is now a rebuttal, which is only allowed by the applicant. We're not following the Planning Act here.
I apologize. We do have something brand new that was
One-
recorded
one
on
new.
June 3rd in our backyard.
This
Just
is
listen,
just-
please,
this
just
is-
give it a minute. We had to wait for the, just please listen.
Are you taking?
Machine gun, illegal everywhere in Canada.
Thank you very much.
From my backyard, thank you.
That's not semi-automatic, that's
That was a machine
fully
gun.
automatic.
Any other, anyone else?
Anyone else in opposition that hasn't had a chance to speak that wishes to speak? Okay.
We do have some registered for information. Signed in at the last meeting is Maria and Stan Mikolas.
No. Okay. Not here.
Also Jerry Belinky.
Yeah.
Jerry Belinky, you wish to speak?
You were in information or?
Jerry Belenky, 354 Garden View, West St. Paul. I know I'm gonna make lots of enemies here, but as a business owner, when I moved out onto the perimeter in 1975, there was nobody around me. Okay. Period. Reason I moved there was supposed to be houses. On the plan, it was all houses. Put up my garden center amongst the houses. Now we go to 2023. We went from a business park to M1 to M2, heavy industrial. Now, when I moved out onto the perimeter, the traffic in 1975, there was none. It was barely. I wondered why they built the road out there. If you want to hear noise, come at 5 o'clock, 4:30, listen to the noise. I don't know what the decimal is, but you can't hear a phone call. But what I'm getting at is, this business moved out, far out from the city. Now I hear people saying, the business isn't for this area now. Well, maybe it should have been asked, are the houses should have been there, that close? I mean, it should have been a buffer, whatever. But when we're subdividing land, and we see all the permits and the money, it works. That's why we went from houses to heavy industrial. Now, instead of having one or few cars going by, I have semi-trailers going by steady. Now, talk about noise and dust. So, I'm saying this is an application for a building. If the people have concerns about the building and the noise, maybe everybody should spend time in resolving the issue instead of saying he doesn't belong there. Like maybe the one building that went up beside our place, the last one, the contractor made a great point about all the insulation and the noise barriers that he was putting into that building. So maybe we should look at that. But I don't hear that. I hear that we don't want them there. That's wrong. He was there first. Did anybody ask him, do you want the houses next to you? No. So that's my point. I know people aren't going to like it, but I mean, when you start a business and you move out in the middle of nowhere, you don't open up your door and everybody comes. It takes years and years to build it. And then when you get it built, and it's like, now, oh, we discovered America. There's roads there, the services are there, so we're going to move in there. And then now you're the wrong place. That's my point.
So are you?
I'm against. I mean, I'm for the building.
You're
Yeah.
for, okay. I
Yeah.
just want, okay. Thank you very much. Does anyone have any questions? I should have.
Was 4 or?
He said he's 4.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I had you sort of information.
No, somebody did that on my ticket. I only signed for information. I wanted to hear what it was all about. But
you
I
changed it
think
to
we have
4.
to work with the people. I
Okay.
mean, they spent their, like he spent there, I don't know, 20, 40 years there. Now we're gonna say, well, we don't like it.
Okay. Anyone got any questions? None? Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
Anything else? Anyone else?
We also received a letter from Michael Albert as well as Deborah Hindemith, which is in attendance this evening, both listed against, you received their letters in your package,
Yep.
generally bringing up the same items that have been brought up already.
Okay.
Is there anyone else that hasn't spoken on the matter that wishes to speak? Yes,
Could I
sir.
speak just on information?
Yeah, you have to register, you have to register later on, but you can come up to speak now. And just make sure you're registered before you leave. Name and address for the record, please.
Bob Orslack, 197 Fulshire Road. I grew up on Miller Road. I know the whole history about Miller Road, the drainage problems that I farmed for since '73 across the road from the gun club. I've done work on the gun club for preparing crops for, like the nurse crops for hay fields, so I know that land there. I know that, and it was missed one time by the fellow there, that the gun club did flood. There was beaver in there. They blocked up the culvert and the area was flooded. But anyway, on Miller Road, back in '58, up to Fulshire Road, there was 3 houses, and they were all the same names as mine, all family. On Fulshire Road, there were 2 houses. These are all farm sites I'm talking about. There were 2 farm sites. I'm built on one of them. Today, there's 15 houses. On Miller now, there's 8. On Rushman Road, there was 1 house. Today, there's 23. On Lawson Road, there was also 1 resident. Today, there's 11. And now on Blackdale Road, there's 3. So the changes do come about. Also, when the gun club come in, or started there, where the problem is today, it was a rifle range. There was no building there or anything. There was a mound where the guys used to come into sight in their rifles. So that made a lot of noise. But it never, like the noise doesn't bother me. I worked in a railway, Simon Yards, bells ringing, engines running. I grew up on a farm, pigs squealing, everything else, so I can tolerate noises. So I hear it, yeah, and then I just carry on. But I do sympathize with the people beside there. They do have concerns, and I think if a new building could solve half the problem, so be it. Maybe in time the rifle range should be closed down. So that part. So I guess I would have to kind of go with a no, but at the same time I'm not entirely against the new building. But again, the guy that was here never gave any specifics. He said it's going to be built out of the cinder blocks. Never said how they were insulated or anything. Also, he said they would keep the old building for storage. They don't need the buildings. That used to be a farm site. There was a barn, there was granaries, there was garages on there. They're all gone. It's all been replaced. So that's my point, is that I'm not really against it and I'm not really for it, but they have to come up with a better plan. That's all. Thank you.
Does any council have any questions? None? Okay, thank you very much for your input. Appreciate it. Okay, so that was the last, so now we can ask for the applicant to come up and speak.
Let's try and straighten this out here so it doesn't fall down all the time. My name is Peter Hildebrand. I was here last time. You've got my particulars already. I won't try and repeat that. So I'll try to come up with some answers to the questions that were raised, questions from council as well as from some of the residents. Can you hit play on that one?
Yeah, I'm just need a moment.
Sir, do you mind also bringing in into your presentation a little bit about the conditional use from 1993, if you don't mind?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's going to be reserved,
Okay.
but or referred to.
Okay.
Okay, that's the driveway from our property looking south, 1201 Miller Road, West St. Paul. You can see the property immediately on the other side. And you can see who's living there, and there is nobody living there. It's a farmland. This is the view from that same position looking west. There's a driveway in the far distance on the right side of that road. That driveway is actually the Manitoba Hydro property immediately to the west of our property. So that gives you some idea of the distances we're talking about. We've been talking a lot here of the club and the membership and the various aspects of it without ever really coming to grips with the physical dealings of it. So I thought I'd show some slides of the range, try to answer the questions and concerns. I think the other people from our club are already been introduced by planning department. Brendan Romick, Sandra Danilchuk, my wife Hermina, and Alex Ross and Sid over there, and Scott Masniuk, I think we're expecting from the Manitoba Sporting Clays Association. So we're going to look back toward the north now. This is looking to the southeast of our property, and the land in the distance is Highway 7. No, it's Highway 8, and the buildings are in that vicinity there. So this is looking north into our property. There's, of course, a wooded area, as you can see, and our driveway into the parking lot. This is the parking lot, and I'd ask you to keep in mind the position of this thing. This is where we're at right now, is probably 150 feet inside of our property line, and we're going to be much closer to that building when I finally get around to showing you the sound levels that I've recorded in that area. Now, sound levels I recorded with a sound level meter. Here it is here. And in case you're wondering whether it records anything or not, it's recording about 62 or so decibels right now. So that machine seems to be working. Anyway, the parking lot in front of the building, and that's the building that we're talking about here. And we're talking. Some people have said, "Well, you want to replace that building? What's the new one going to look like?" It's not just replacement. We're in this process right now because we are advised by the planning department that we will not get a building permit to fix that building if something should happen to it. Let's say the propane truck drives into the corner of that building and we need a contractor to come and fix up the corner of that building. We are told you're not going to get a permit because your zoning does not support it. So that's partially why we're here. Eventually that building will have to be replaced as well. But in the meantime, we'd like to at least keep it going. So that's some of the motivation that we've got over here. That clubhouse there is also the site, as was mentioned, of the '67 Pan Am Games. Films like A Dog's Purpose, police and fire games, junior events, and so on. It's not just shooting that goes on there. We are having people in there to do various things, but generally That's what it's about. It was built for the 1967 Pan Am Games. Moving on to the northeast of that building, there's a 50-meter range. Here's the multi-purpose range, and this building on the right here is the subject of that 1993 conditional use approval. So that was what was asked for in 1993, is to build that. It's essentially a pole barn. Let's call it for what it is. It allows people to shoot there and use that range in the event it's raining. So that's was really the purpose of it at the time. And we have now got added some gates to it and stuff, but it's essentially the same building as it was at that time. That's really what we're talking about here.
Can I ask you a question on that, if you don't mind?
Yeah, sure.
So, so you're saying that this pole barn is a subject of the 1993 conditional use?
That's correct,
Does
yeah.
the 1993 conditional use have anything to do with exemption from a noise bylaw?
No. It didn't deal with noise bylaw at the time. This was all that was being asked for at the time, and this was what was
So
granted.
what are the aspects of the 1993 conditional use?
Sorry?
What were the aspects of the 1993 conditional use? Is the size of the building that you built?
No, they just said, can we build a structure on the range with a roof on it, which is, it's a building. You need a building permit, and you're not going to get a building permit unless you have a conditional use, which is what they asked for.
Do you right now have an exemption from noise bylaw in West St. Paul?
No.
You don't?
No.
Okay.
We are grandfathered back to the 1950s when that bylaw wasn't there.
Sorry, can you explain that to me? What exemption are you talking about?
We are considered to be exempt from the modern
Noise
bylaw because we were there operating a shooting range since
Mayor.
the early 1960s.
The planner.
Sorry.
So the way the West St. Paul shooting range works is that the 1201 Miller Road is actually exempted from the noise bylaw because it was grandfathered.
Sorry, say that one more time, Mr. Planner.
The shooting, the West St. Paul shooting bylaw specifically mentioned 1201 Miller Road as being exempted from the noise from the noise bylaw. Yes.
Did you say there's a West St. Paul shooting bylaw? Did you say that?
Yep.
There's a West St. Paul shooting bylaw?
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay, and the
Which-
bylaw states what? That
State that 1201 Miller Road, this particular site we're talking about, is exempted from all the noise issues.
And when was that granted?
I think 2006, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, 1999.
1999.
Yes.
Was that tied to a conditional use?
No, it's
No?
just a bylaw, just like a standard bylaw.
I see.
Separate issue.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you a question later on about the authority of that exemption. And how can that exemption be changed? Just give you some time to look into it, but that's my question.
Okay.
Okay, proceed, sorry to interrupt.
Okay, no problem.
May I ask a question? Sorry.
Oh, sorry, Councillor Kleiber is asking if she can.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Councillor Kleiber.
To the planner, the bylaw, though, can be changed and that exemption can be removed. Is that correct?
That's correct, but it has to come back to council for changes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, sorry for interrupting.
Okay, no
Continue
worries.
on.
Okay, that's the other view of that same range over there. This is the next one to the east. So this is the last part of our area that we use for shooting to the east. So this is the shotgun range. Shotguns have a short range, so they're not, you don't have the high berms on the side, on both sides, and you don't have a high backstop at the end.
I just have one question.
Yeah.
So where we're looking directly, like at that brown thing kind of.
You're looking east from at this point.
That's looking east?
Yeah.
Towards,
Toward the Highway 7, Highway 8,
okay.
sorry.
I just wanna make sure.
And that brown part, that's a farmer's field. That's, in fact, well, we own it. It's a farm field. And that's, there's nobody on it, of course.
Thank you.
Can I just ask a question? Can I ask, just
Yeah.
before you get past these?
Sure.
So how high would you say that pole barn is, as you said it was?
Ooh, I'd say it's probably 20 feet, or maybe 18 feet, something, let's say something like that, 16, 18 feet, something like that.
Well, so I'm just trying to correlate that with the berm height. Like, we were asking for numbers on what your berms are at
Yeah,
around there.
you're gonna get them, but
Okay.
I'll get to that after a bit. Right at this shotgun range, there is no requirement for a berm on the other side, nor is there a requirement for a backstop of any particular height, because shotguns, well, you shoot into the air, and they are short range. So that's, and all of these things, all of these ranges are approved by the Chief Firearms Officer of Manitoba, and inspection comes every 5 years. Ours is coming up this fall.
So just on that, because you brought it up about the authority who governs you.
Yeah.
There was a delegation made earlier that said that according to a study that the range, acceptable range for decibels was around 70 something. Are you governed by this?
Well, that's not included in the range construction guidelines. That's the, what we go by is what the RCMP puts out as their range construction guidelines, which are not related, they don't relate to noise at the property line or anywhere else. They relate to safety, really.
But okay, yeah, I hear you. But are you also governed by any type of decibel rating?
No.
No? Okay.
Excuse me,
Counselor Clyburn?
just hold on a minute before you put her on. So she wasn't present at the start of the meeting?
She wasn't.
Correct. She can participate, but she can't vote
Okay.
for the public hearing because she was not present for the entire thing.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay, good. Thank you very much for the clarification. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, this is looking south.
Hold it, just wait. Councilor Clyburn had a question?
Counselor Clyburn, did you still have a question?
No, I'm okay.
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Okay, this is looking southeast from that same point. Southeast looks over our property. Miller Road is just about ahead past the white car. And in the distance you have Highway 8. So that's what you've got there. So these are the sort of perspectives, visual perspective of the club facilities over there. This presentation is on the West St. Paul Municipal Records. I'm not taking it away from here. You've got it. So you'll be able to look at it again later if you like. Okay, this is the indoor range. This is what it looks like inside there. This is the range that this was really the subject of what we're trying to do here, is get approval to fix that range if it's necessary to fix it, or replace it if we eventually have to replace it. But anyway, this is what it looks like inside. I'm not making any particular point, just saying for information. People were asking, what is this thing? And this is what it looks like. This is the other side of the same thing. We can't, like I say, we can't make significant repairs here because we need conditional use approval. That's why we're here today. Now, this is the west range. This is on the west side of the property. We're looking south here off of the parking lot on the west range. And of note is that this is the area where sound level measurements were taken on June 21st. I'll get to them after a little bit, but just at that bend in the road, that's where I was standing. So looking from there, if you make a noise here, you'd record it at the bend in the road, and then beyond that there is that wooded area, and beyond that is Miller Road. That's sort of the layout of what we're looking at here. And next is this same point again, looking west from here. There's a range building on the right side, and the property next door is the Manitoba Hydro property. There are two large steel towers carrying hydro wires going south and north, south to Winnipeg from here. So that's sort of the appearance of the thing. And this is looking north now to the range building. I'm standing in the area where I'm going to be recording sound on the 21st of June, but this is the range building that's there. And you can see the range building it has a metal roof on it and certain thin siding on the side of it. So it's not particularly efficient at mitigating sound. So I'll get to that too after a little while. And this is in the firing line area, just inside the building. This is looking west, and you can see there's a berm on the west side of it. These big wooden structures are site limiters. They are there as safety measures as recommended by the RCMP's range construction manual. So that's what we've put in over there. This is looking to the right. There's a berm on the right side, or on the east side rather, of the same place, with some more site limiters on the left side of the picture. Now we've gotten to the end of the range, or we're looking at the end of the range. This is looking north, at the north end of that west range. I'm going to turn around and look south now. Looking south, you see the site limiters, and eventually you'll see the open door and the firing point in front of that. So that's what it looks like in this range. Coming back through, you're going to see the west side there. There's a berm on the west side of that range throughout the firing area, and you can see the hydro property to the next door to it with the towers. Mid-range looking west, again the same thing. There's a berm on the west side. Now we get to the question: how high are those berms? Last time we couldn't answer the question properly, and partially because those berms are of different heights here and there, and the backstop is also of a different height. So we've got 4.1 to 4.5 meters for the berms on the side of the west range. This was taken by a drone, by the way.
So can you convert some of that to feet? So
Oh,
it must
yeah.
be 12 feet, right? 12 feet?
4 times 3.2 is about 14 feet.
14 feet, yeah.
And 4.5 is about 15 feet. So that's generally the kind of heights that you're looking at. Now, lest somebody look and say, well, you know, the backstop minimum is 4.5, but you don't meet it. Well, actually we do, because it has to be 4.5 above the immediately adjacent land, and the land slopes down a bit. We're taking a zero line right at the firing point at the bottom of that picture, and that's why from there it's 4.2 to one of the spots on the backstop, and it's 4.7 at a different spot. But anyway, it's at least 4.5 above the level of the adjacent ground, and if it wasn't, you can be sure that the CFO would be on top of us to raise that berm, and we would. There's no problem with that.
CFO is?
As the Chief Firearms Officer of Manitoba. They're a division of RCMP. They regulate our activities at the range. They regulate all aspects of it. So that's what we're here to do. So those are the measurements.
Safety aspects.
Yeah,
not the sound aspects.
We're not talking about the community. No, we're talking about the safety, the safe operation of the range. That's what they're concerned with. Okay, people were asking about water analysis. We must be putting lead into the water. Well, here are the results. Water analysis taken 31 May of 2023. Copper 0.558, yeah?
Can you make that any bigger?
Can you?
I can't make it bigger. No, but you have it on your system. You can look at it at any time after. Oh, there we go. Somebody can make it bigger. Okay, so copper is 0.558 milligrams per liter. Lead is 0.010 milligrams per liter. If we were polluting the water, then it wouldn't read this way. And I'll show you the standards on the next slide. There are the standards on the next slide. And
just see if someone can make it bigger.
well, the writing is on the left side. You should probably be able to see that.
Oh, that's the dark, bigger font?
Yeah, the bigger
right.
font, that's what that is. So our results were 0.558 and 0.010 respectively, and the guidelines now are lead 0.05 or ALAR-A, which is as low as reasonably available. That's what that means. It's noted on the bottom of the table. So it was 010 until 2019, and now they've changed the standard to 005. So we are just above it, but we met it a couple of years ago. And that's water from the ground we're taking up there, and we're using it for, not for drinking. Nobody likes the water in West St. Paul, but we use it for washing and so on.
Excuse me?
Well, I'll show you the next. Okay, let's go up here. This is from the West St. Paul website. It says that water from many wells has been tested and found to be of poor quality. I didn't make this up. It doesn't meet federal or provincial standards. It's very expensive to treat. This is why water is being brought into certain places in West St. Paul. That's my understanding of it. We're not complaining about the water, but this is how it works around here. You know, what can you do? This is the way it is. Anyway, I'll go back to the previous slide. This is where you get lead from in the community. Car batteries, 16 to 21 pounds, plus a gallon of sulfuric acid. Old paint, vapes, tobacco smoke, all this kind of stuff. And this building has been here, like I said, since 1967. We would like to upgrade it, or have at least the authority to upgrade it from time to time. But right now we don't. Anyway, we can, that's an aside. Let's move on. Sound levels have been mostly the subject of opposition here at the meeting. And sound levels are measured on a logarithmic scale. Goes up by 10, it doubles. That's sort of the idea. Lawn mowers, 95. Gas-powered leaf blowers, 80 to 90. Motorcycles, 85 to 110. Straight pipe motorcycle, you only have to go out in the parking lot here and you might hear one. That's how it goes. People think that Harley Davidsons run at that kind of level, and I heard it myself. Canada's OSH regulations, the Canadian standards are 87 for 8 hours, continuous in any 24-hour period. So, let's go to some readings from that position that I mentioned before. And this is the ambient sound. No shooting is in progress at this point. There's a bunch of renters. You can see the vehicles there. They're talking, I guess. I don't know. They're not shooting. And it's 53. That relates to wind blowing through the leaves in the trees and the sound from Highway 8, that kind of thing. So 53 is ambient in that area. Right now in this meeting here, right now we're talking somewhere around 65. So that's a lot quieter. So, shooting is underway, 70 and 74 decibels. This is on the 21st of June when a sound noise complaint was made to the RM. I'm right now about 60, 70 feet just south of the firing line of the range. I am not at the property line. That's a considerable distance further away. And this is what it reads, 70, 74.
What year is that machine? More questions, please. Continue on.
You think it doesn't work? It's reading 65 right now.
No, that's right, just continue on.
Anyway, 67 and 75 decibels. It depends on the tempo of shooting, how many people are shooting at the same time. That's sort of the readings that I got over there. Truck going by.
Excuse me. The gentleman is speaking. Let's show some respect and let's hear him out. Please keep the comments to yourself till afterwards. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, 67 also for the car traffic going by when the machine is pointed to the south. This is the highest level that I got to that morning, 77 decibels. That's on the West Range again. Now, I moved off to the Manitoba Hydro property to the west of WRPA's West Range. Ambient is 62, there's nobody shooting at the time. 69 was with the machine pointed toward Miller Road, and there's a vehicle driving by. That's what it sounds like. That's the level of noise that it makes. Vehicle traffic again, 69. When there's 2 vehicles, it recorded 79. That's the loudest sound I recorded that whole day.
And that was with?
2 vehicles, you can see them in the picture.
Yeah, no, but what about, was there any shooting done?
There's
that
no
day?
shooting going on at all at the time.
Okay.
You have to hang around for a while to get to the time when they're shooting. They're shooting
Yeah.
for a little while, and then there's a lot of silence again.
Okay.
So it takes a while. Okay, so here we go. Now there's shooting underway, 66, 67 decibels. It's pointed toward the range. You can see the towers in the distance there. So that's sort of the level of sound that we have on the property adjacent to us, which is owned by Manitoba Hydro. Now I moved off to Northumberland Road because one of the comments that we got on the 11th of May was that it was loud and it sounded like gunfire and it sounded like war and stuff like that on Northumberland Road. Northumberland Road has a series of residences built, but then it runs out before you get immediately south of our property. So I went to the last 2 that we had on Northumberland Road, and this is the sound level that we recorded. That's 70 and 74 decibels. There was no shooting going on at the time. Those were 2 dogs barking. So now we've got shooting going on. The dogs got tired after a while, and there's shooting going on from the WRPA site, and it is recorded at 58 decibels. I went south or further west on Northumberland Road, so now I'm directly south. This is the closest you can get to the WRPA property, and it's recording 69 and 70 decibels. You can see the Manitoba Hydro towers on the top left of the right-hand picture. So we're directly south of the property here right now. There's no shooting going on, but it's an open area. There's more wind. There's more noise from the highway, that kind of thing. There is no shooting going on at this time. Okay, let's get to the indoor range. That is once again the subject matter of this application. So this is directly in front of the range on a Thursday night. We use the indoor range 2 nights of the week, Monday, Thursday, 2 or 3 hours apiece. Anyway, I was there when it was in use. There were 2 shooters there, but they hadn't been doing anything. So it shows low, and it shows 58 decibels. So this is basically ambient sound. That's what ambient sound would be, right or directly in front of the door to the range. Now there's shooting underway. We get 62 to 64 decibels. That's what the machine is recording from that position in the middle of our parking lot, and nobody's allowed there except the members of this shooting club. This is private property. We're about 200 feet, maybe 150 feet from the property line at this point. So that's the level of sound. And this is the loudest.
So that's that building that's on the west side of the property?
No, it's kind of in the middle of.
In the middle of the building? Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of the middle of the wooded area.
Yeah, that's this long white one that's here on your drawing? Yes.
Yeah, that's the long white one, yeah. So this is the loudest. I asked these guys to shoot vigorously. Let's see what it does. And the loudest I got to was 72. You can see the readings on the machine there. And now we're back to normal, 53 or low.
I just have a quick question.
Yeah.
Do you know what type of firearms they were using?
Yes, they were using 9mm pistol and a .357 Magnum pistol.
The Dirty Harry weapon? Right?
No, Dirty Harry is 44.
44.
Yeah, but they're fairly loud. We're getting our money's worth here, you know. Okay, so let's see. This is getting back to the sound levels and what is permissible various places. So you have Manitoba at the bottom is it says continuous use 85 decibels is allowable, and they're using an exchange rate of 3. That means, and that's what the table above is for, if you've got an exchange rate of 3, you can have 85 for 8 hours, and it goes down to 97 for half an hour. It's just you can be louder if it's for a shorter period of time.
Yeah.
That's what that's all about. Okay,
Excuse
so
me, so 97 was for how long, did you say?
97 is for half an hour.
Half an hour? Okay.
Yeah. And the loudest, like I say, the loudest that I recorded the whole day I was recording was 79. So, this is the end of general information. We have heard the residents' concerns and their comments, and some questions as well, of course, from council. And I'm willing to speak of some alternatives, because we don't want to be hated by everybody. We want to be kind of fitting in. Why would we want anything else?
Okay.
So, here are some alternatives. You've got some choices to make. So, if you say, well, we'll turn you guys down, well, we revert to the status quo, no approval. WRPA range use stays as it is. Why would we make any changes if we're not allowed to do anything? Second one suggestion is, well, the WRPA has been here long enough, why don't you get out? Okay, if we do, we're going to be looking for buyers for that property. We've got 118 acres there. Property in that area sells for residential property for about $20,000 an acre. You can multiply it out, it's a big number. We're not going to sell our property to somebody to use as a residential lot. That's not happening. Nobody has the money for that kind of stuff. So it's going to be a farm site, maybe feedlot, I don't know. So that's what's coming if you throw us out of there, or freeze us out by not approving any changes. No repairs, no replacement of the buildings. Get rid of these guys. Well, this is what you're going to have next. Or let us see if we can work together. Approve a conditional use so that we can at least get a building permit to do something with that building. Maybe replace it eventually if we have to. Maybe repair it in the meantime. But at least we can do something with it. But have conditions on that conditional use. That's what it's for. Put some conditions on so that we make the range friendlier. The big questions that we kept, or concerns that we keep hearing about, is the noise coming from the West Range. So we hear it. Those are concerns by residents. Fair enough. So let's look at some.
Can I just
Yeah.
an option? You're going back to there.
Okay.
So 2.
Yeah.
Why do you think that there'll be a farm coming there, or a field?
It's zoned A80 right now, agriculture. That's what it's zoned. Who would buy it for anything else? Who's got the money to buy it for something else? So I'm just saying, these are possible. Who knows who comes to buy the property? But this is what it's zoned for.
And number 3, what do you mean by making it friendlier? It's kind of a vague.
I will tell you on the next slide.
Okay, good, thank you.
Oops, not that one. Or that one. But here we go. Okay, so there's some alternatives. Make the range friendlier, and there are some options. I'll offer you right now to extend the west berm that's on half of that range, on the west range. It's basically in front of the firing position. We'll offer to extend it to the south end of the property. That'll double the length of it. And that berm operates not only for safety, but it can also operate to mitigate sound. So we're offering, we'll get a machine in there and we'll build that berm to the south end of the property. That will block noise going south from the range building, the west range building, to the west. That's what that would do. And it'll be the same height as we got now.
So how do you think extending it will help?
It'll cut down the noise, because now you've got 15-foot or 14-foot high bank of earth that blocks whatever is going on there from going to the west.
Okay.
That's one thing. Second thing we can do is place hay bales on top of that berm. That's been done, was done at St. Andrews when they were doing their drag racing, and they found it to be effective. If we put that at the very top of this, that'll extend the size of the berm even further, and it'll keep noise from propagating to the west side of the property. Next door is the hydro, but I know there's residential after that. So we can do something there to mitigate that kind of sound. Number 3, we would like to assess these things first, but then consider noise reduction options for that West Range building. You saw it. The south part of it it's sort of lattice work, that sort of thing. It doesn't block a lot of sound going back out of the range building. The sides do, and the roof does, but those are thin as well. So maybe there's something that can be done. We haven't got somebody in to give us a proposal, but we will certainly consider it. But the first two things we can tell you right now, we'll do that, if that'll help you make a conditional use approval of this application. So that's what we're offering to do.
Okay. So have any questions? Oh, Councilor Campbell, go ahead.
What about, I'm curious if there's any, if it would be a good idea to make some sort of sound mitigation up into, from either sides of your driveway to the west and to the east. Right?
Okay.
So that there's only a small sort of tunnel now for any sound to go south and sort of, because right now your south is open, is it not?
Well, there's the range building, and the shooting is going north. So, yeah, it's sort of open.
Yeah, I heard from residents before saying that the sound does travel.
It travels back from the building. It's true. So we think that the most, well, talking to a sound engineer, an environmental engineer, he says the best way to reduce sound is to do it at the source or close to the source. So this is why we're suggesting number 3 above. If we still need to reduce sound more, let's consider doing something with the south wall of that building so that it reduces the sound. So we're willing to consider it, yeah. And we are already thinking of putting up that berm from the existing end of the berm to the south side of the property. So you saw the, well, I'll get the pictures up here. One more.
I'd probably pull up your drone, your aerial one.
This is going to take a while, but I'll get there. Okay, that's the West Range building, and the wall that you see is not totally solid. It's kind of, there's lattice work in it and screen and stuff like that. So this is sort of how it looks. And if we put something along there that would absorb or block sound, that would help with the concerns of noise going to the south. You can see as well the berm to the west. That's the berm on the west side of that range. We would offer to put bales on top of that to absorb sound.
So that's on the west side, but
That's right.
that doesn't go all the way back to the property that we're on the west side. Where were you going to extend the?
Coming back here, we were going to extend it because you can see there's no berm anymore over there. That's because it only starts at the building.
Okay.
So if we extended that to the south end of the property.
Oh, you're going south.
Yeah, to the left.
Okay.
And we'd go to this, because you're looking west right now.
Yeah.
Going to the south end would be to go left, build a berm over there to join with the existing berm.
Okay.
And now you're going to have a block to noise going to the west of this property.
Okay.
And if we do something with that south wall, that'll block noise going to the south of the property. Those are the two areas where people were indicating concerns. So we're trying to think of what can we do to make this more accessible. or more acceptable.
I have a question for you.
Yep.
Okay, so can you just comment, and I'm just looking to understand your readings, the maximum reading that you read from your noise meter was about 70, you said 72?
79, I think.
79, okay.
Somewhere in there. I don't remember 80.
Fair
so
enough.
It was 79.
Okay, and then there was a delegation that came that said that they took a reading on June 20th from a noise dosimeter, and that was like 88 to 92. How, like, is it because the further you're away from the property, the louder it becomes?
It does not.
Okay, so then how do you reconcile these? How do you reconcile these two
I
numbers?
can't reconcile that. People can measure sound on their cell phones. I don't know how they do it, but this is a sound level meter, and like I say, it's working right now. It says 68, so it's not insensitive, and this is the exact same machine that we were using before. So how other people have derived sound levels like that, I don't know, but I do remember last time I was here on the 11th of May, somebody recorded or played a sound. Well, you can amplify sound as much as you like, except the comment from the counselor was, well, turn it up, I can't hear it. Come on. You know, and then the reply was, oh, it's turned up already to the maximum. I mean, does this make any sense? If you back off of your driveway, I can record that and amplify it and make it sound like you're operating a war zone over there. That's not what should be done. You should measure something with something designed for the purpose, which I think we're doing.
So, okay, so then what's your opinion about, or what's your perspective on the West St. Paul shooting bylaw exemption? Are you willing to revisit that? And you heard a lot of concerns and opinions about, not opinions, pardon me, you've heard a lot of shared experiences with regards to the noise.
We would like to work with the council to try and make our activity acceptable over there to as much as we can. You know, there's noise in the world. The St. Andrews Airport operates, and they operate, I know I flew out of there, they operate day and night, 7 days a week. And what did they do? They approved a new subdivision just now, just south of the airport. So that's their approach to their sound problems. We're not suggesting something like that, but we're saying we are suggesting ways that we're going to spend money, we're going to take trouble, hire people, spend money, do something that'll make this more acceptable to the community. As far as saying, well, we're going to agree to a no shooting bylaw and say, well, you can't shoot a rifle anymore or a firearm at all in West St. Paul. Well, now we're back to the alternatives that I mentioned to you earlier. So we don't want to go there.
Councilor Bichetti?
Okay, thank you. In the public hearing, we're talking about this building.
Yep.
And the only drawing I have is the one that you brought to us last time. There's nowhere that you brought us anything showing how you're mitigating any sound.
It's not this building, it's the other one that you're talking about.
Yeah, the one you showed last, at the last hearing.
I think we'll get to this eventually.
Yeah, the one that you showed right going into the driveway, yes.
Yeah. Let's see here. We'll get there. There, that's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you brought us building a new building.
That is one thing that's going to eventually be necessary, yes.
But that's where this started as a conditional use
That's right.
for a new building.
Yeah, we may as well, because if I just say conditional use to repair this building, we don't have any damage to repair right now.
I understand, but when we're getting into a conditional use, it's being brought to us how it's going to be constructed, what's going to be mitigated to reduce the noise or affect the people in the area. We're seeing a computer-generated building.
That's right.
With no building spec, no grade spec, no nothing to it. So again, like we asked last meeting, we want some more specs on what's going to be happening here. There's been, well, your water testing was at the max level now since 2019 is at the minimum level. Well,
that's right.
okay, that's a certain area, so there was no other real testing done to that, and I think council did ask for that kind of stuff.
We're ready to produce a drawing, a design, architectural drawings and that sort of thing of a new building. We don't need to replace it today.
But that's what the conditional use, that's what we're here to do.
That's right. So I would suggest you can approve a conditional use with a building design that exceeds the performance of the existing one.
We've had conditional uses come in that we've tabled because an applicant's not here, with full designs and everything of a building. That's what we're here to approve, is what you're presenting to us, not what's gonna work for the condition that it's gonna be used in, because what you say is good for the condition, the residents are not saying is good for the condition. So, right now, all we have to look at is a square of the property and a computer-generated picture of the building without any specs on it.
And you can see that the general complaints that we have about the noise in this area don't come from this building. They come from the West Range. The noise levels in front of this building are within, well, they're less than, this could be a provincial or federal work site right in front of that door when there's people shooting there. There is not a noise issue here. That's what I'm trying to tell you with these photos and sound readings. There isn't a problem with noise from that building. I don't know that anybody's complained about it. So right now we don't have drawings because we don't know whether they're going to be approved or not. There's people that want to kick us out. So, you know, why would we hire an architect to draw something for a property that we don't know we're going to be able to use? So we would like some idea that we can go forward with this, and then certainly before we get a building permit, we would have to file appropriate drawings and the like. But at this stage, it's premature.
But at the same time, during this whole presentation, you've been talking about mediating sound outside of the whole area.
At the West Range. There's no need to mitigate sound here when we're at 65 or 70 decibels right in front of the building on our property where there's nobody else around. We don't ask people to mitigate sound from their lawnmower when they're mowing the lawn. So really, there's no need for it right there. There's a need for it that's been expressed for the West Range, and that's what we're proposing to mitigate. And in the event that when we finally replace that building, it's going to be, and we will agree to make it less noisy than this building. But right now, we're not there yet. And we can't be there because we don't have any idea that we're going to be able to go forward.
Yeah, okay, so yeah, there's some good information. I'm glad that you came back and that you provided this presentation. I think that you certainly were further along in providing good information to council to consider. And I did want to sort of explore your point that you're open to working with council. I think that whole spirit of collaboration is very healthy and very positive.
Thank you.
But I want to give you a bit of a glimpse into the next 2 hours into the future. I don't believe that we're ready to make a decision on this because personally I think there's more, I hear a lot of questions from council in terms of your noise barrier strategy, whether it's the south side, east side, west side to the building with the specs and the building materials, sound attenuation. I even have some questions with regard to the scientific testing of your dosimeter and the delegation's dosimeter.
Sound level meters.
Sound level meters.
Yeah.
I mean, these are. So and then I'm also interested about the West St. Paul shooting bylaw exemption. I want to look into that a bit more. So, where I'm thinking of going with this is to lay the matter over to next month, for you to do some homework. In regards to providing a rendering of a site plan that shows us exactly clearly how you're going to set up your berm, how high the haystacks are going to be, with the new building. Provide us with your best information with regards to sound deadening and how that's going to affect. This is what we're asking for.
I doubt we're going to get it in a month. That's not realistic.
How much time do you need?
2 months.
Okay.
3 months.
So Are you, okay, and will that, can you work with that time frame?
3 months.
You can work with a 3-month time frame. You're okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay, so then we can, so it's August, September, so October, come back in October. Okay, so we can, so then I'd like to basically lay this matter over until October for you to do some homework, provide a site plan to us, right? It'll allow-
We still have the president to hear from.
No, I understand, but I'm just telling you, I think we can't force a decision tonight because we don't have enough information to go on. So I'm just kind of giving you a bit of the lay of the land. And then, you know, provide that site plan to us of what it's gonna look like so we can clearly see. You've done a great job with this presentation. I like the way, I like your mindset in terms of providing the readings to us. I think that was great. So just do that same kind of thing with the site plan, with the building, right? And like I said, I think that it's healthy that you're coming here saying you want to work with us. I think that's positive. And you've also acknowledged that you've heard the residents. I think that's great. That's a huge step. For me, that's a huge step for you. So,
So, I just have some,
Go after you.
I just got some, so I'm looking at your drawing that you sent to us. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, are there 5, you mentioned ranges, are there 5?
Yes, there are 5 ranges.
So what are-
Individual, small places
So-
to shoot.
Okay,
yeah.
so I'm not familiar, I didn't know that, so what do each of these ranges do? Like you?
They
to me-
provide you a place to shoot a firearm.
Yeah, but are they specific to a certain type of firearm?
Some of them are. The indoor range may be used only for pistol caliber, non-magnum, and rimfire rifle calibers. The range beside it expands that a little bit, and the far range is for shotgun. Far 2 ranges are allowed for shotgun use. The west range is allowed for more powerful center fire rifles. So we've been hearing here, actually, as an aside, we've been hearing here that modern firearms are more powerful and that, you know, times have changed and they're really, well, the RCMP uses .223 carbines. That's what the noise complaints are about. The .223 caliber was invented in 1957. It's not gotten more powerful over the years. It's the same thing.
So I'm just trying to locate here, so on the west side, which is the range that's furthest west?
Yes.
What's that range?
Sorry?
What's
it used for?
What's it used for? What weapon you
For any rifle caliber, even shotgun caliber, if you meet the range rules.
Okay.
But you can use anything less than 50 BMG, so even a powerful hunting rifle could be used.
Okay. The one on the, as you said, the one on the furthest east, what is that range?
Shotgun range only.
Shotgun range? The
Yeah.
one to the west of that range is?
Is the multi-purpose range.
Which is?
Pistol calibers and rimfire rifles, so low-powered rifles
Okay.
and pistols.
And the one?
And shotguns.
And the one east of that range?
That is the plate range and standard pistol range. Pistol calibers are allowed in there. So they've all got their individual characteristics.
So you've talked about mitigation on
The rifle range.
on the rifle range,
Yes.
which is the western end of the property?
Yeah.
So the residents, most of the residents, I shouldn't say most of the residents, some of the residents that I've said here, they don't live west of the range, they live east of the range, and they're the ones that have been bringing up also noise, so.
And I'm wondering which, where the noise is that they're concerned with. You'd have to have a look at it. The shotgun shooting typically doesn't generate a huge amount of noise, not in comparison to the rifle range just to the west of there. So which is the concern that they're raising? I would think it's probably the west range.
that's the rapid fire. We've heard that over and over again. So that's coming from the rifle range?
That's right. That's on the west rifle range. That's the only place you're going to do it.
So I guess that is, you know, I live east of you on Miller Road.
Okay.
And last summer I was out building a shed. And I was out there, you know, every morning. And it really wasn't the noise level that was the issue. What the issue for me was, and I think maybe that's what some of the other issues, it's the never-ending fire, pop, 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 pop. And some of the one thing I've also noticed is living out where I do is that depending which way the wind blows,
certainly
the noise is louder than
Yeah.
what it is other times. Like, you know, like sometimes
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
I don't hear it at all. I can't even hear the traffic noise from number 8.
You're on the other side of number 8?
I'm right alongside the railroad tracks,
Okay.
right, not very far from the railroad tracks. I'm
Okay.
along the- So I can't hear the traffic noise from number 8, but sometimes I hear the range, and that's coming from the west.
That kind of sound would be on the west rifle range. That's where that's coming from.
Yeah.
So this is one of the reasons we're thinking of trying to mitigate the sound on that range as a priority, because the other ranges don't seem to generate the same level of concern.
But my understanding is you were only looking at mitigating the sound on the west side of the range.
That's right.
Not on the east side of the range.
That's right.
So are you open to looking at mitigating the sound?
Well, we would be open to looking at it. I think that, like I was saying, the sound or the environmental engineer says contain the sound right close to where it's being generated. That's the most effective.
Yes, I
If we
agree.
put up a berm on the east side of our property alongside the highway, it wouldn't do anything at all. So you have to get kind of closer to it.
Yeah, I was thinking right alongside before the farm field, not right alongside the highway. So,
Yeah, well, you know, I wouldn't rule it out.
Okay.
But I'm saying it's probably more effective to do it right where it's being generated on the west range.
So you would do it on both sides, the
Well, we
rifle
can
range?
probably do
Oh,
it on
so
both sides of that
okay.
range, yeah.
Anyone else have any council
Yeah,
comment?
so one thing I would say, and, you know, if we are gonna lay the matter over till a further date, I would make the effort now to add some berms, and I do know companies that would deliver fill there for free, cause you aren't that far away. You know, so it would be at minimal cost really, and I think, it would go a long way to getting your conditional use approved. I think if there was a 50% reduction, I'm sure most of these people in the room would probably be agreeable if there was a 50% reduction. You know, and you know, the berms would obviously take care of a lot of that.
Let us know the contractors you're talking about, and we'll think
for
of
sure.
it.
If you can send me an email afterwards, and I'll get you in touch.
I don't have your email. I'll send it to Pam.
Sure.
She can do it.
Councilor Shen. So I also share with what was talked about the building design. It would be nice to see what the building's gonna look for, how much noise is it gonna mitigate, you know, what type of weapons that we can use in those type of buildings. That would be something that is, would be very helpful to see.
Okay.
That's what we were hoping to look for this time around too, but, you know, I understand your conditions, so you're willing to work with us, so I agree with
That we are.
Yeah, that, I guess if everyone else, go ahead.
Just one comment. You were saying that you're not ready to put that new building up now. I'd like to see what you propose to bring this building up to a little less sound. We'll let it go. I'll agree with just what the mayor said. I'm good.
Okay. Councilor Campbell?
No, I'm good, thank
Okay.
you.
So then, I guess we want to lay the.
I think
We still have to hear from Brendan over here.
Oh, okay.
So I will turn mine down. I know we have somebody else to look at after this, so we'll turn down my chance to speak today.
Okay.
Mine was more of a passion play anyways, so.
Say again, what?
Mine was a bit more of a, you know, feel-good play about what's going on there, so.
Oh, okay, okay.
I'm actually keeping my space up just to make sure these people can get theirs heard. so.
Yeah, okay, well, appreciate it. So can we lay this over to an.
So just look to our acting CEO for direction in
Yep.
terms, or our planner for direction.
If you were looking to get 3 months, time, the next planning date would be October 12th, starting at 6 PM. So, if council wish, we can adjourn to that.
Can I provide some instructions with regards to the adjournment?
Sorry?
Can I provide some instructions to the applicant? So we would like to see a site plan, okay, with the berms, the extension of berms on the west side and the east side and the south side. Give us
Not berms on the south side.
Give us the full deluxe option. Give us your maximum option to see of how to do the sound deadening, okay? And then we'd like to see the new building specifications in terms of the sound attenuation and the construction materials from your architect or engineer. And then also with regards to, what was I gonna say? I forgot. Oh yes, the West St. Paul shooting bylaw. I'm gonna get some more information from our administration and look into that a bit, and maybe I can give you more feedback afterwards. But I'm very curious as to see how you can work with the RM, because the RM is the fastest growing municipality in all of Manitoba. There are new houses here. That's the reality.
It's mostly along the perimeter, though.
But the point being that there are a lot more houses in the neighborhood, so you know it's. I'm asking you that because you brought up the point of collaborating with the RM, so I'm interested to see what kind of collaboration you're going to do with us, with the RM on that. I think what you're doing is great. There's been some delegations that are talking about the good side of it. I get it. I get that it's a good bonding time. No one's taking that away from you from this organization. That's all good stuff. We want to see that happen, but at the same time, I think that your organization has a responsibility to acknowledge the evolution of the RM, that there's more houses and homes and people, and you're also changing too. So just let's do a bit of a give and take. So we'll work with you. We look forward to working with you on that.
Okay.
I would just like to say, I think that's a great improvement over, I would say that at the start of the meeting, it was probably 100% no.
And just for the next time around, what I'd like to see is the applicant speak first, just so that the people that are against, if there are any people against, they can at least talk about what the applicant's talking about, and then it gives the applicant a chance to rebut at the end. That's kind of how.
That's your procedure that you're
I'd like
talking
to see it that way next time. Just makes it a little bit easier.
But I don't think we could, because this is just a
Oh,
continuation
right. Sorry.
of the last meeting.
Right. I stand corrected.
So,
Excuse me, just one thing, so when you're doing the.
One more piece of instruction from the mayor.
Okay.
Or a
So,
question.
you know, it's our intention, like, if you can do this all at one time, that's great, but we also understand that you need finances to do this. So if it needs to happen in the berms, I'm gonna specific, if it needs to happen in phases, put timelines on when you can do those phases, just to make sure that it isn't too erroneous for you to do all at once, right? Because.
Building and there being only 6 months of summer and building.
Yeah, and you know, and you want to do one thing first to make sure it's working, and then you do the next thing. So it'd be nice just to do it in phases, and then you can see what impact it's having on anything, or.
But having said that, if you can come up with the deluxe version sooner than
Yes.
later,
Yeah.
that'd be great too.
Okay. The one thing I was going to mention about the berm on the south side of the property, you mentioned the west side, east side, south side. Well, that's not the best idea, maybe, because the south side of that property is wooded. We have to bulldoze trees down. Now that's.
Well, then give us an alternative.
Yeah.
Which we did. I said
Yeah.
the building, the south side of the building is the best place to look at that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so then by all means, you know, we're giving you instructions, you probably know better than we do what it is.
Yeah, because those trees are good.
Yeah,
you
no,
know.
but specify the materials, because you didn't specify that. So specify, is it wood, and is it something else
Yeah.
to absorb the
Yeah.
sound? Like,
Yeah.
let us know.
Okay.
Okay.
And tell us
Okay.
why berms won't work at the time.
Yeah.
When we ask for berms and all
Okay.
that kind, so.
Okay.
Go ahead,
I
Councilor Campbell.
think, you know, you guys have identified the west range as being
Yeah.
probably the issue, so I think if you take the initiative and do a berm on the east end, continue it on the west side, I would hope that would mitigate a lot of the issues.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
See you October.
October,
The
whatever
12th?
that is, yeah. Pam will give you the dates.
Okay.
Or just hold a minute.
Some more?
well, he can go away.
Oh, Mr. Ojo.
So council will need to make a motion for
Okay.
that date and time,
Okay.
October
Okay.
12th, yeah.
Can you read a motion for us to move in second?
Be it resolved that the public hearing for conditional use 10-3 be adjourned to the October 12th council meeting starting at 6 p.m.
With the instructions provided to the applicant.
with instructions to provide additional information.
Okay, I'll move that, Mr. Mayor.
Can I have a seconder, please? Councilor seconded, all in favor, or can I call for a question? All in favor?
Oh, just want to thank everyone for coming out. I think there was some good arguments on both sides, and to the applicant, thank you I really appreciate that spirit of collaboration. I think that'll help you, so thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Anyone else wants to take? Call for the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And all opposed? Seeing none? None. Good. Thank you very much for your time.
Okay,
Appreciate
thank
it.
you. Let's take a 5-minute break.
Yes.
5-minute recess.
So we're gonna take a 5-minute recess, just reorganize, get some water.
Yeah, she's in on this one right from the beginning, so. She was trying to get off a flight, her flight was delayed, so she's in the airport on Zoom, but her flight was delayed. So she's back on. Oh, yeah. Is Dorothy still there?
Oh, okay.
We got people here for this public hearing.
Just stick to what we have.
Excuse me. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes more sense. Okay. So now we gotta work. Okay. So I guess everyone ready? Okay, so we're gonna begin. Be it resolved that this meeting of council recesses for the purpose of holding a public hearing pursuant to section 105 of the Planning Act. Could I have a mover, please? Councilor Bichetti moves. Could I have a seconder, please?
I'll second it.
Councilor Patka and seconds it. Any questions, comments? None? Okay, call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? None? Carried. So now we'll have the planner.
Introduce the item.
Okay. I'll have the planner start with the presentation.
Do you want to try that? Sorry.
That's right.
I'm just having a bit of connectivity issues with the one screen.
Okay, if it's not gonna work, let me do it here then.
Okay.
Yeah. Good evening, council members. Good evening, everybody. So the next item on the agenda is a conditional use CU 18/2023. The location is 3924 Main Street, roll number 53400. The intent of the applicant is to allow a truck operation to operate on the subject property zone CH, commercial highway zone. This is the conditional use table. It shows what the property is zoned and what the applicant is trying to establish a truck operation. Subject sites and the surrounding area. And this is the zoning map that shows what the subject property is zoned and what the surrounding context is also zoned. This is the site plan as submitted to RRPD by the applicant. For council's consideration, the intent is to establish a truck operation business on the subject property zone CH, commercial highway. As per the zoning bylaw, the applicant is allowed 15 trucks per acre to a maximum of 30 trucks. Given the applicant's letter of intent, it appears they will exceed the 30 trucks maximum allowed. The subject proposal appears not to be compatible with the surrounding residential development, Commercial establishments should be clustered in the central commercial areas of the settlement center. Given the scale of the subject proposal, there may be potential land use conflict given the surrounding rural residential zone and the settlement center designation. The site is currently subject to a zoning bylaw enforcement violation, as the applicant had been operating a truck business on site without a permit or council approval. Council must determine whether the proposed use is compatible with the general nature of the surrounding area. The West St. Paul Fire Department noted an ongoing fire and life safety code violations on this property. A letter ordering a full fire and life safety audit has been issued. As at the time of the planner's report coming to council, there has not been a response from the applicant. RRPD is recommending 7 conditions to council wishes to approve this application. That concludes my presentation.
Okay. Could I have the, what do I have come? Applicant come forward?
I'm not sure who the applicant is. We do have a few people that are registered in support.
So the applicant is not here?
I'm here.
Oh, you're
Are
the
you
I'm
applicant?
not the applicant for his support. He's not here.
Oh, where is the applicant?
He has to go somewhere. That's why he can't go by.
So you're representing the applicant?
He just-
Oh, you're representing the applicant, okay, then come forward.
Good.
Just state your name and address just for the record.
My name is Jamal Tima, 93 Masalia Drive, Winnipeg, R2P118.
Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead, start the presentation.
So we applied for the truck operation just so we needed conditional approval. We will happy to appreciate with you guys if you guys allow us. We will comply with your all conditions, whatever you guys like to do.
Okay. That's it?
Yeah, that's it.
That's your presentation?
Yeah.
Okay. Does council have any questions?
No.
No questions? Okay.
Just a quick question. How long have you had that property for now?
That we had since from May 2022.
2022? And were you made aware of any information that the trucking operation was allowed on that site?
We tried to do the building maps, but we didn't get from anywhere. We tried to apply the permits, so that's why was the delay.
So you applied to the RM for permits, you're saying?
We tried to apply, but we don't have any maps on that. We are trying to get the map.
Okay. Yeah.
Go ahead. Councilor Bichetti?
Before purchasing the land, did you do any research on it to see if that, what you guys were trying to put there was allowed there or fit in that zoning?
No, we didn't.
Okay.
Anyone else have any questions? Okay.
We have Jaspreet Dillon, registered in support.
Okay, where's
He was here, but he has to.
Okay.
Oh, he's gone? Okay, go ahead. Anyone else?
Maurice Balgobin.
She here? Maurice? Okay.
Where's the speaker? Okay. All right. Name and address for the record, please.
Yeah. My name is Maurice Balgobin. I live at 393 at Main Street, West St. Paul. I'm right next door to the neighbor there.
Okay.
I'm not against it or for it. The only thing I'm concerned about the trailer that runs all night or 24/7. It can get very annoying. And summer, in the winter time, it's not too bad, but in the summer, the windows are open, you hear it louder. So that's my concern about the tractor trailers that run all night with the AC on. I don't know. They probably have perishable stuff in the trailers, so that's my main concern.
Do you live on the north side of the property or the south
Yeah,
side?
north side.
North side, okay.
North side, yeah.
Okay.
So.
Anyone got any questions? So you mentioned that you're not for or against it, but you mentioned a concern which
Yeah,
seems
that's
to
my
indicate
concern,
that
but
the reefers are running all night?
Yeah, 24/7.
So
If it's gonna be running 24/7, then I'll be against it.
Okay,
Yeah.
so, okay, I don't know how we mark, it sounds more like you're against it than you're for it, so that's all I'm asking.
Well, let me ask you this question. So you experienced this when the business was running.
Yeah.
What was your observation at that time? Was it running 24/7?
Well, some of the trailers was running
Oh, okay.
24/7. That was in the winter time.
In the winter, okay.
In the winter,
Okay.
when the windows are closed and all that.
Okay.
Okay.
You know,
So then, if the future is
If
the
they
past is
have-
an indication of the future, that you're saying it's probably good, you'll probably be against it then.
Yep. Depends if they have the trailer in the front or the back of the building. Right. I think if it's the trailers at the back of the building, it might be doable.
Okay.
But
So-
if it's in front, where I can hear it more, well then, it's a toss-up between give,
Yeah,
right?
okay. We understand. Okay, good. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Next,
No one else registered in support.
okay,
In opposition, we have Dawn Blaine.
okay, Don Blaine is here.
Evening.
Good evening. Don Blaine, 113 Diane Drive. Excuse me. I'm against or in opposition to this, and the reason being is that on that slide it listed about 6 points of why it shouldn't be there, and that's already been established. So I got a question, as a corporate citizen, they've skirted the rules and were able to set up shop through their own malfeasance, or whether they just didn't know any better or whatever, it really doesn't matter. I think there's safety and environmental issues associated with this that have to be addressed. Given the additional building that's taking place on this former St. Benedict site, there's going to be additional traffic problems because of the residential. There's residential on the north and south side of this property. I think it's inappropriate to have that type of an operation abutting against residential people, because I mean, they're at a disadvantage, obviously. I have some knowledge in this. I was a controller for a trucking company for about 5 years. I know what's involved. Is there diesel fuel on site? Are the reefers running all night? I watched a truck pull out of there about a month, or no, less than a month ago, with a 53-foot trailer. He has to cross the center line and take out the northbound lane. He was traveling south. He took out the two southbound lanes and the northbound lane in order to get on the highway. He's not going to get up to speed till he gets to the school. That's a blind corner coming off of just north of where I am in Lister Rapids. And from that corner to the from people getting out of Lister Rapids, you've got a 7 seconds at speed, supposing that people are driving the 70 kilometers, which inadvertently they are probably not. I think it's just a disaster waiting to happen, quite frankly. So I guess if you gave them a conditional use, the question is, how do you enforce that? Because they've obviously been non-compliant. So I'm not sure that it's the best use of the property, given that the property that's just north adjacent to that's open, it's a rural residential, the property owner had tried to put a housing development in there as well. So and I suspect that's going to happen again. Given the influx of additional housing, there's more traffic. We've already got a traffic problem on Highway 9. Speed limit's a problem, sight lines are a problem. If there's a spillage on site with diesel fuel or other contaminants, will it get into the groundwater? I don't know. But will it end up in the ditches? Whatever. I mean, there's a lot of things to consider here. I think it says that CH Highway Commercial is for the purpose of servicing the traveling public and for providing commercial space for those businesses which by their nature require a highway location for access or display purposes. Well, we've got an industrial area. Would that not be a better spot? Much better access to the highway, it's controlled intersections, things like that. So the safety concerns would be addressed, certainly. So that's my 10 minutes of fame.
Thank you very much. Councilor, any questions? None? Okay. No, no. Thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you.
Kyle Krasansky.
Evening.
Hello.
Okay,
Name and address for the record.
my name is Kyle Krasansky. I live at 3900 Main Street. Never really made one of these speeches before, so anyway. 3924 Main Street is it's my next door neighbor, I'm the next door neighbor to the south. I've lived here for some time now, and I was friends with the guys at Atlas Welding. When I heard they were moving, I thought, okay, cool, new neighbors. Then a semi showed up and is sitting idling. No big deal. Then it was 10 semis. Then it was 20 semis. Then one day I'm outside in my backyard and a bulldozer's knocking down hundreds of trees and building a 4-acre parking lot. All of a sudden, those 20 semi-trucks turned into 80. All those semi-trucks have generators on their trailers that run all day and all night. I have a sound clip that I'm gonna show. It's gonna be that good off my phone, but I don't
I hear the frogs.
yeah, I know frogs are
The microphone's on.
Yeah,
The
okay.
speakers are
More,
yours.
that goes into the recordings.
Sure, okay.
But your impression was good.
Thank you.
I would hear it again.
I hear it inside, I hear it outside. I can't do anything without hearing it. It wakes me up probably last year about 20 times during the night. I was not at peace when they had their operation working there because of the lack of sleep. I didn't put in a garden this year because I knew I would not be able to go back there without the noise upsetting me. When they left due to bylaw violations, I could finally sleep again, and it was a sign of relief. On a daily basis, the semis drive on the ground, on the gravel to gain speed right in front of my house to merge onto Highway number 9. It creates large ruts on a daily basis. And I could put in a complaint, but as usual, I just go out with a rake and fix it myself. It is getting old. I made a commitment to the community of West St. Paul when I bought my house to pay my mortgage and to keep the property in good condition. If the committee is in favor of putting a trucking terminal at 3924 Main Street, I'd feel like I'm being pushed out of the neighborhood, for there is no way I can continue to live somewhere where I'm unable to sleep or spend time outside. Therefore, I'm against this bill.
Council, have any questions?
So just, you're
Councillor
saying, yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. You heard the noise like throughout the night?
Yeah, it's 24/7. It's 80 or 100, whatever, trucks and trailers with their little reefer units making noise all through the night. Even sometimes I work 4 to 12 or 6 to 2. I come home at 2 in the morning, bring in my garbage can, and all I hear is, and I'm like, it drives me nuts. And I don't think it's acceptable behavior.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
You got any questions, sorry?
No.
No, none? Okay, thank you.
In opposition is Ron Dobrinsky.
Ron. Name and address, please.
Ron Dorinsky, 27 Sand Hill Drive. As stated in the petition that we had circulated around Lister Rapids, we are against any type of trucking operation to operate out of 3924 Main Street. About 20 years ago, another trucking firm tried to move in. It was voted out by the council at that time, so I really don't know why we're revisiting this again. There was a bylaw, my understanding, put in place that there would be no trucking in there. When these people moved in, they broke the law. Before I had to build my house, I had to get all my permits in line. I had to get inspections, everything along that line. And if I broke a bylaw or did anything, I was fined. So why are they allowed to operate for so long? It's ridiculous, really. There's been no compliance at all, and they're just ignoring the rules. If you read the fire chief's recommendation about propane and everything stored in there, they don't want to comply with the fire department. What happens if those propane cylinders go up? I'm glad I don't live right next door to them, I'll tell you that. There were several points raised already. The reefer is 24/7, but they forgot one other point. When they come out of the driveway, they have their lights on at night. And 2 o'clock in the morning, they're shining in my bedroom window, waking me up. And that goes on every day. You want to go outside and work or sit on your deck? You can't because of the noise and because of the dust. The gentleman before said about maintaining his lot. That property is not maintained. There's all kinds of weeds there. There's all kinds of ruts in there. It's in disarray. At least when Atlas Welding had it, they took care of the property inside and out. And I must say that. So, like we said, we're totally against any type of trucking operation at 3924 Main.
Okay, thank you very much. Got any questions, Councilor? None? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Margaret Jabrinsky?
I just said
Okay.
We don't need it to hear it again. I think we're all in.
Linda Badenchuk? Ron and Rose. Ron and Rose Watch?
Yes.
All I gotta say is, I live on
Rich, if you can come up here, please.
My name's Ron Walk. I live at 143 Dan Drive. I've been living there for close to 30 years. When I moved there, like I said, we had to make building permits, everything else to and abide by the rules. I'm not against expansions or whatever, but Main Street is getting to be hectic. Try and get out in the morning when it's December, January, and around the curve, you don't know what's coming at you, and now you got trucks pulling out of the section. And that's why I'm against it. Until something happens with Main Street, I'm totally against any trucking here. That's basically all I have to say.
Okay, thank you very much. Wait, anyone got any questions? Okay, thank you.
Sandy Frey?
I'm her husband, so I'm coming up too.
Okay, yeah, on you.
Get 2 for 1.
Name and address, please.
I'm Sandy Fright. I live at 46 Tacoma Place.
And I live with her. Blair Frey, yes, sir.
Same address?
Okay. Well, the garage mostly, but.
Okay.
Well, anyways, we moved out with our 2 young kids back in '99 to West St. Paul, looking for an area that was quiet, rural, kind of like a country living. And when we moved out to our house, we found that, or at least that's what we felt up until the last year. It was quiet. It was a great place. It's a great place to live. Great neighbors. And when Atlas Welding and Fabrication was in the place of the address, I think that company was there at least 15 years that I'm aware of, and we never heard a sound out of that company. They never worked weekends. They had a day shift of wherever it was. I never really paid attention because you didn't even notice them. They were there. They did their work. Never an issue with traffic or the coming going of any kind of truck that would come in there to service or pick up supplies. But in the last year, we've had the new business come in, and we've heard, well, back in April, so when the weather started to break and it was cold and it started to get warmer, you know, you open up your windows, get a bit of fresh air. And I recall on a Friday afternoon, a reefer running on one of the trucks, refrigerated trucks. It ran from Friday at about 3 in the afternoon, and it ran right through Sunday morning, not shutting off once, revving up and down to keep the temperature, whatever it does at that time. And this was an ongoing occurrence throughout the summer of last year, or pardon me, this year, sorry. And also, there's been times where there's trucks that have pulled out and it's like a huge safety issue with traffic. The truck is pulled out and the gentleman who's been driving it never locked his fifth wheel. And for the people that don't know what a fifth wheel is, that's the pin that locks for a trailer to stay on the truck. That truck pulled out on several occasions, different trucks, different drivers, and they came detached, blocking traffic on the highway. And I think it happened 3 times. I know 2 for sure. So as has been mentioned before, it's a blind turn. It's highly dangerous driving just to come out of Lister Rapids without any controlled intersection other than the stop sign and watching traffic as best you can. Now you got a trucking company across the road, blocking traffic, creating a lot more traffic. And I'm not sure what the premise was when the company was first gone in there that was addressed to you. But as the other gentleman mentioned, there was at least 85 trucks I counted in there one day. And in one day, those trucks moved 35 times in and out of that gate. So I'm totally against any trucking company being across the street.
And to the noise is nonstop, like you have the windows open in the evening at 4 o'clock in the morning, you hear these, a blower going off and on for over an hour, and it's just the noises. You can't even have your windows open in the evening. So
I mean, you're gonna have dust issues with the dust that's being created, and
coming
they got a huge gravel lot now. It blows westerly right into us, from the west, I should say, and there's gonna be concerns about environmental. I mean, I worked at Winnipeg Transit for many, many years. Diesel gets on the ground, no matter how safe you are, and it does leach into water systems. It's happened many times. So that's something to think about too.
Okay.
Thank you.
Council, have any questions? Right,
Thank you.
okay. Thank you very much.
Sorry.
Also, Beef Right in opposition, not in attendance. And then Ron thank you.
Ron Pekatuk, I live at 33 Sandhill Drive in Lister Rapids. I was the last one on the 100-meter notification. A lot of people in our development in Lister Rapids were very disturbed, not realizing that they didn't get notification because it was only the 100-meter regulation. I was last home, my neighbor beside me did not get the notification of this proceedings. I was under the impression at the last election, I was told by Christensen and Ms. Giorgio here, that that trucking company went in there with being told that they were not allowed to have a trucking business in that property. Yet it manifested itself that it became a big business. Now, there was one incident early last fall when the reefers got fired. The fire department had to come out there, put it out, the RCMP, everybody was there. Now, if they didn't have a permit to be operating, why were they not shut down instantly after that incident? Noise issue is another thing. 5 o'clock at 2, 3 in the morning when they hammer on that fifth wheel to hook up. And you know this is a rural area, not the city of Winnipeg, so the noise does resonate. And like all the other presenters here, like for the against have said, we're waiting for an accident to happen there. And I do wish council does not approve this, because I don't know if you guys looked at that. We did a petition in the area, so you know the numbers of who's for and who's against. And if you are a true council of the people, I hope you'll do the right thing.
Okay. Just wait. Council have any questions? No?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Norma Albert.
Norma Alberg, 312 Evelyn Avenue. My main concerns for this are regarding the traffic, I think, and it's been well spoken by several of the presenters, particularly Mr. Blaine. I'm concerned about that mix of the highway, which is becoming very crowded. It's going to be more crowded. We're setting up our residential housing on the right, on the east side of the highway. Our one school is on the west side of the highway. Those kids are going to be trying to get across. The highway at that point is on a blind curve. We have other industries coming out, plus all of the residential traffic. And then when you add in the length of the semis, the trucks and trailers, it's just beyond a recipe for disaster. I think it's a very good fit for in the industrial park. This should be an easier one for you than the previous application. I think it gives you an opportunity to really stop and think about these conditional uses and the fit for the surrounding neighborhood, and manage the planning that needs to happen in the community. This one now is the company moving in to the existing residential neighborhood, and it's a poor fit. So it's a great opportunity for you to really show us your commitment to managing the planning and placing the components of our community where they best belong, where they're the best fit. We need all of these businesses and residences and schools and whatever, but they need to be placed in the right locations, and this is clearly a really hazardous location for this.
Okay. Council, any questions? None? Okay, thank you very much.
Mary Bialowas,
She left.
I think she left. Eleanor Link,
Eleanor Link, 1045 Top Shack Road.
My apologies.
Okay.
There's another Eleanor that I knew that was supposed to be here.
Okay. Well, there's nothing like hearing from the residents who have to live with issues. However, as you councillors, I'm sure, have been delving into the zoning bylaw about this issue, I would assume, because they want a truck operation, and the definition in the zoning bylaw, it's at the back of the zoning bylaw at the very end. The definition of a truck operation is a business whose fleet doesn't exceed 15 trucks. Well, they're asking for the wrong category of operation, business operation then. The definition of a truck terminal is what they want, only they even exceed that. Because the truck terminal business is the fleet exceeds 15 to a maximum of 30 trucks. Well, we've heard the number of 85. So they don't even fit the definition of the truck terminal. But take a look at they want this in a CA, in a commercial highway zone, okay? Well, it's also a conditional use in an M1 zone, industrial zone. The only zone where it's allowed without a conditional use is M2 heavy industrial. That's where it belongs. I think you have that. The zoning bylaw is pretty clear. Now about the entrance and the exit. When Main Street is widened, the entrance of this business will be right in, right out. That's in the report. I'm sure you've read it. The trucks coming from the south, from the city, then, will have to turn around somewhere further north to get back, to get to a right-hand entrance. Then when they leave, if they're going back to the city, they're going to have to leave and make a right-hand turn and go north. So there's going to be big problems, bigger problems, when the highway is widened. Thank
Council, have
you.
any questions? Got any questions? None? Okay, thank you very
you.
much.
Thank you.
Gloria Heck, she left. Andrew Barrett,
I'm Andrew Barrett at 27 Shaw Road. I'm a new resident to Lister Rapids. I started building my house in 2020, right at COVID, so that was a great time. I rue the loss of Atlas Welding because they actually did a lot of the metal work for my place. I agree with all the comments that you guys have already heard. There's not a whole lot I can add. My new house build is above code for insulation. I didn't go with sound deadening insulation, but I can hear reefers running at night when the guys are in operation there. And it was unfortunate that they moved in because I would have liked to have a steel shop nearby because I'm a very good tinkerer there. So that's about all I have to add there.
Okay. Council have any questions? No? Okay, thank you.
Kenton Noble,
I'm here. I'm a guest, but I don't. Everything that's already been said is.
Okay, thank you very much.
and Detlef Kinderman in opposition.
It's not here.
We also have a couple people registered for information. We have Jerry Belinkie.
Just here, just right here. Oh, no, he's back there.
He's in the back.
He doesn't leave early.
Something said on or what?
Yeah, I guess I should put the order in.
Yeah. Jerry Belinkie, 354 Garden View Drive. My question is, why was it even coming before council? It's an M2 use. I can't understand why it's not in the secondary plan to have this here. I just don't understand why it's even in front of council, but I'm against it. It's, you know,
Well, you're against.
80 core or vehicles or trailers or 30 trucks or whatever. It's just too much with it. The houses across, that's just nonsense.
Go ahead.
Well, it's come to us because we can't stop them from putting an application in, and we have to see the application.
So it doesn't matter if it's not, okay.
Well, no, they know it doesn't belong in that zoning, but we
Yeah.
can't stop them from putting the application in, and we have to.
Okay,
See the
that's fair enough, but I mean.
But that's why.
They're the owners of the property, so they have some rights to apply to something.
Yeah, but I mean, I could see it if it was being applied before they moved in. You know, it's
Yeah.
like, ask for permission or forgiveness,
Yeah.
you know, thing.
So, just, anyone else have any questions? No. So you came up asking for information, but you said that you're against it.
Right.
So are you registered for against?
I
or-
said against.
Is she registered?
It's noted.
So, it's for
It's noted?
information.
Okay. Yeah, information,
Yeah.
but now they changed it to against?
Yeah, well,
Okay.
because I heard that there was, I didn't know there was 30 trucks.
Yeah, no. Okay.
Yeah, so it was, you know, you can't tell from the just application, I mean, what's there.
I was just making sure that your
Yeah,
opinion
no,
was
I
correct. so, yeah.
Thank
Okay,
you.
Good, thanks.
Okay.
And for information, we have Artie Gill.
He's gone. He's gone?
He's gone.
He's gone, okay, go ahead.
We also received a number of letters earlier that have been provided to council ahead of time. They noted similar complaints, light shining on backyards, excessive noise, safety concerns regarding traffic, that it's not an appropriate location for this type of use, concern about truck traffic going past schools, shouldn't be near a residential neighborhood, that it's unsightly, too commercialized for a residential part of Main Street. Truck traffic shakes neighboring foundations, that trucks will damage Main Street, and that there's unnecessary pollution from trucks running 24/7 and unneeded dust. We also received a petition of opposition from 72 people.
Just can we have the applicant come forward if he has a rebuttal or to speak to some of the concerns that the residents have raised?
That's the reefer running. We can do those things. We can do the very part on the back of the pit. That's why they are making the yard to the. We don't want to park anything in front of the building, but we don't have a space that time. That was a winter time. That's why we are making a space enough back to very end of the yard. That's the way we can do that things.
Okay, so I guess I don't understand how that's
No,
gonna,
we can park our vehicles very behind of the end of the lot. There's some, or we can park the less trucks and the less trailers there.
okay.
How do you respond to the neighbor to the south about their concerns? And
We don't park anything running there.
So reefers are pretty loud, you know that, right?
Yeah,
You're
reefers are
running
very
24
loud.
hours a day, 7 days a
We-
week.
the- we have to do some work on the trailers. There's only empty trailers and the reefer shut down trailers, we can park those there.
So, okay, so you're changing your.
We are changing it, yeah.
No,
We
no,
can
right
get
here.
more places
No,
to the,
but
to
right- but
divided that, yeah.
Yeah, but right now you're changing, first you're gonna park it on the back, and now you're gonna park trucks without.
No,
running, like,
we are changing the park and we are not parking the running reefers in this yard. That's the thing we can do,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
You have
And
another
the-
yard, you have another yard then, or what?
We have to buy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, what are you gonna do in this yard then, if you're gonna use another yard? I don't understand yet.
No, because there's a building, we have to do some work on our truck and trailers.
So that's where you're gonna do your truck repairs?
Yeah, that's the very small repairs, not the big repairs, yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
So why, first of all, going into a building like that you were informed of, I think it was October sometime, that it's not allowed in the area? Because I was the counselor then and I was fully aware that you weren't allowed in there and you were told that. And instead of downsizing it, trying to make yourself stand out less, you grew and you grew and you grew. Like I heard it for 6-8 months. I've been talking to residents in Lister Rapids and the area, and I'm in the area every day, and it's consistently growing. I believe there was one night, I think I saw 20 trailers in the front, and half of them were running with reefers going. I stopped on the side of the road. I was in Lister Rapids, and I could hear them running. So you were not only running the business there illegally, and you were fully aware of it, like our planning had talked with you, or fire department, according to here, was in there to see you, but there was no way to try and stop any of the mitigation, that you weren't even trying to do anything with it. So that's why I can't see how this is gonna work. And there was 2 times I drove by, as I believe Ron brought up, there was trailers came loose from the tractors pulling out onto Main Street. And there was one blocking the lane. I remember the date.
Yeah, there was one, I remember that's the one time, otherwise we are aware one time that's the winter time, sometime that happened, because that's the very, very close those days. That's why they didn't hook up properly, sometime driver didn't.
But that's already a small highway, and they cut, I've seen them come, one going in, one coming out. It's blocking both sides of the road, not for 30 seconds. It's 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes of blocking. And let's say in the winter, we have some snow coming down, and we have that blind corner just to the north of there. It's an impossible corner to slow yourself down in. So, but I haven't, what I'm trying to get at is in the 6 or 8 months that you were running out of there, I guess the last month or so there was nothing, but there's been no mitigation to try and resolve any of the issues, just growing the business.
We are trying to get the drawings though for the whole time, but we are trying to get the drawings to apply the application.
Well, you
And
applied here, I
we
don't
were
see any
thinking
drawings.
that's the Atlas building was there. There was, we are thinking that's the commercial, we can use it. That's the only we think.
I have no more comments.
Okay. Yep. Anyone else have any comments? So I guess they brought up issues about lights going into the yards. How would you resolve that issue?
Those lights, we will tell the driver, they have 2 steps on the trail. Every truck has 2 steps on the lights, one high, one the low. We can do the low beam test. Yeah.
And how would you resolve the issue around with number 9, that it's going to be changing right in and right out only? How would you resolve that?
We don't park that much truck and trailers there, so that's automatically, the number goes down. That's
You still have to resolve the issue of going right in and right out.
Right and right turn.
Yeah.
Then we
That
have,
means you
then
can't-
we have to go long way, we have to turn around from the lights, or we have to come through the McPhillips and the,
You have to come through where?
in the McPhillips and the, yeah.
McPhillips.
McPhillips.
Yeah, how far do you have to go down McPhillips?
It's taking time, but we have to solve it, we have to.
Yeah, okay, but you said, you know, you have to go down McPhillips to go, so how far down?
No,
McPhillips?
that's the right hand. If we come through the parameter to McPhillips, then the part, and on the lights, then we can turn on right hand.
So are you aware that there's only one highway that you can go down from McPhillips to number 9? There's only one highway.
There's,
Yeah, do you know where that highway is?
this the Park Lane,
Parkdale, yeah.
Parkdale, yeah.
So you know how far that is from where you are right now?
Maybe 10 minutes.
10 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay,
At least.
at least, if
Yeah.
not longer. So you're gonna drive 10 minutes north and 10 minutes south again to get to your property, every time.
Every time.
And you're not gonna go down any of the other municipal roads that we have connecting number 9 to number 8, Northumberland and Miller Road. You're not gonna be traveling down those roads.
Otherwise, we have to make a U-turn from.
Yeah. For me, from what your actions are, right now, no, you know what, listen, hear me out, okay? From your actions, from what I see here, I'm scared that you guys are gonna be coming down Northumberland and Miller Road, just as a shortcut. Because obviously, there seems to be some sort of communication problem in your organization. I don't see the applicant here, which is very disappointing. I mean, he's off somewhere, which tells me that this is not very important to him. He's got you here instead. He can't answer the questions that we want him to answer. You know, like, he's the applicant, he must be the owner. He has to explain, and I agree with Councilor Bruschetti. You know, there was a trailer that come off a hitch. You know, I've been around semi-trailers for 30 years. Rarely has I ever seen that happen. Rarely, because you know what? When you leave the yard, that's one thing that gets checked, to make sure that it is totally lynched. Wintertime, summertime, there is no excuse. There is none at all. I've hardly ever seen it happen. And here it's happened once that we know of. Someone else has told me twice or 3 times, so there's a lot of problems coming out of this thing, so that's all I can say, so. I don't know.
If you will see the owners, I can say we can go forward, we can come on next date or whatever.
Well, that was today.
That was today.
Yeah, that was today he was supposed to come. So we're not gonna be postponing this thing to another time so that he can come, because you know what, this has been going on long enough already. And you guys knew that it was in here. The report from the fire department does not shine very good light on your operation at all. You know, there doesn't seem to be much willingness to do. You seem to be, I'm gonna say, you seem to, let's do it and let's ask for forgiveness later. That's not gonna work. You knew what, you know, you're a corporate citizen. You need to be respectful of the residents of this area, and that does not seem to be coming from your organization.
We will ready to do with the fire department compliance, but we don't have it. That's the main thing we have. We need to do that.
Well, you should have done that, you know, way back in January. You haven't been doing that. The only time you started acting is when we started filing papers to fine you guys. Then you started pulling out pretty quick. So I don't know why we have to do that. If you're willing to do something, I don't know why we have to do that. And that took a lot of time and resources from this municipality to do that. So, I'm sorry.
Expense.
Yes, and an expense. So, I gotta say that, I can't support what you guys are doing. Okay?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I just, the only comment that I would say is that it sounds like you're a successful operation, and that I think that you could probably find an M3 or M2 zoning to fit the operation. I mean, because just from what I'm hearing, there's a lot of safety issues. Also, that stretch of highway isn't really conducive for large trucks to turn in and out. And I live north of where the operation is, and I have encountered a few times where a truck is trying to make a left turn into the property, and it's kind of dangerous. So, I mean, I'm not sure it's a good fit, to be honest with you. I think that an M2 zoning, for a successful trucking operation as yours, that has like 60+ trucks, right? I think that that would be more suitable. That's just my opinion.
Anyone else?
No, I'm ready to go for the.
Okay, so that's it. Unless, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Resolution.
Yep. Okay, so now comes the plan hearing was held in the manner of conditional use 1823 for the property located at, go ahead.
Close the public hearing, 522. Oh, yeah, sorry.
522. Oh. This one's here. Oh, right there it says
Yeah,
close.
you got
Okay.
too many there, right?
Here, yes. Okay, sorry. I would be it resolved that the council do hereby close the public hearing and resume the regular meeting of council. Could I have a mover, please?
I'll move it.
All in favor? Okay, Council Bichetti moves. Can I second that?
I'll second it.
Council Paxton seconds it. Can I call for the vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so now we go to 5.23, resolution. Whereas the applicant has applied for conditional use 1823 to permit a truck operation at 3924 Main Street in the CH Commercial Highway Zone, and whereas under the provisions of the Planning Act, a public hearing has been held to hear representation for or against the conditional use application. Now therefore be it resolved that the rural municipality of West St. Paul approves the conditional use 1823 underneath the following conditions. That condition use approval will be limited to what is proposed within this application. Any change in use or expansion will require a new conditional use approval. Applicant owners to obtain all required permits or approvals, including but not limited to those from the Red River Planning District, RM of West St. Paul, and Manitoba Infrastructure. Applicant owner to obtain a letter on clearance from the RM of West St. Paul to ensure that the property is in compliance with applicant's RM bylaws, including zoning bylaws. The outdoor storage of trucks and trailers or any vehicles, equipment, materials associated with the business does not exceed 30. Any inspections required to be performed by the West St. Paul Fire Department shall be completed to the department's satisfaction prior to the use of commencing on-site and ongoing basis as required. Applicant owner to enter into a development agreement with the RM of West St. Paul to address but not limited to the hours of operation, parking locations and design, buffering, access, landscaping requirements, building designs requirements for any permanent new and renovated structures. Owner applicant obtained a permit from Manitoba Transportation and Infrastructure to increase in the use of existing access to Provincial Highway 9. Permit information, contact Erica Paulo. The approval of condition use will expire and cease to have any effect if it is not acted upon within 12 months of the date of the decision. A board, council, or planning commission may extend the deadline under subsection 110.1 for the additional period no longer than 12 months if an application is received before the initial deadline, and for a second period of no more than 12 months if an application is received before the expiry of the first extension. Could I have a mover, please?
I'll move it for discussion.
Correct. Can I have a seconder, please?
I'll move for second for discussion.
Okay, discussion, please.
Mr. Mayor, or I'll defer to Councillor Bichetti if he wants to speak.
This application has been brought to council in prior years. It's been turned down, and there's a reason that it got turned down, and it's a lot of the same reasons that we're hearing today, just to bring some history to the application. For that reason, plus a lot of the other ones, the traffic has changed. It's just not the right fit. It doesn't belong there, and there is areas for it that we have in West St. Paul, so I will be voting against this.
Yeah, I echo Councillor Bichetti's concerns. It's in his ward, and he spoke perfect to it. I want to thank the applicant for coming. You've had a fair public hearing. You've had a chance to speak. The residents have had a chance to speak. I think that your business is very successful with the volume of trucks that you're having. So I think the RM would welcome you in M2 zoning, no problem. I think but I just don't think this is the proper site for the business because of some safety concerns and the proximity to the residents. So it's just honestly not a good fit. So for those reasons, I won't be supporting the resolution as well.
Any other comments? Could I have the vote, please? All in favor?
Sorry.
Yep. Any all opposed?
Nay.
Nay, carried.
So it's defeated?
It's defeated.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, you're welcome.
Give them a few minutes just to walk.
Yep.
Yeah,
Sounds good.
starting, I guess. Finish the planning, can we take 6-1?
6.1. Is there a resolution?
Just, yeah. Give it to the planner. Oh, wait.
No. Is there?
Here. There is a council package.
It's not coming up on his with the resolution.
Okay.
I'll scroll down when you get to where you need to
So
be.
this is what we're going to do?
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay.
Can you see it?
I can see it.
Okay.
Be it resolved that the Council of the Municipality of West St. Paul under subsection 125 of the Planning Act approved subdivision application 2023-3005 for the property located at 17 Willis Road to subdivide 2.49 acres lot into 1.4 acre lot in the RR Rural Residential subsection to the following conditions. Applicant owners submit confirmation in writing from the Chief Administrative Office of the municipality that taxes on the land be subdivided for the current year plus any arrears being paid or arranged satisfactory to council has been made. Payment of any applicant developments levies shall be paid, and C, development agreement has been entered into address the following but not limited to development fees, servicing fees, access fees, lot grading, recovery fees, and original Slater Road construction, recovery fees for original Slater Road construction. Drainage lot grading plan to be prepared by a qualified engineer and submitted prior to any developments to the satisfaction of the municipality and to ensure that the proposed property does not drain into or impede drainage from neighboring properties. 2, applicant owner obtain variances for undersized lots from the Red River Planning District. Applicant owner submits written submissions to the PRRD for Manitoba Hydro that the easement agreements have been entered into with Manitoba Hydro with respect to existing and future facilities associated with the subdivision, and a plan of easement as required by the Real Property Act has been provided. Registration of the agreement will be included as a condition of final certification of improvement. Contact Manitoba Hydro at 12360 Portage Avenue.
Mr. Mayor, the planner can introduce the item. We should let him introduce the item.
Yeah.
I know, just for approval.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can introduce the item.
Yeah, so the subdivision application S23 or 3005, address is 718 Willis Road, roll number 224520. The intent is to subdivide the subject land currently on a single title to 2 lots. That's the subject site and the surrounding area. And this is the subdivision application map as submitted by the applicant. And this is the RR Residential Overlay Zone Bulk Regulation Table. It shows the side yard setbacks and the lot area and the lot width in that zone. For council's consideration and RPD analysis, while the site proposal does not comply with the zoning bylaw lot area lot width requirements, the proposal is compatible with the existing neighborhood character and development pattern in the area. West St. Paul Council approved a similar proposal at 548 Willis Road under file S21-2934 in 2021. There are also other similar sized lots on Willis Road and Slaughter Road. The proposed lots front onto an existing all-weather roads, Willis Road and Salter Roads, Other than the requirements from the RM and the Manitoba Hydro, other commenting agencies generally have no concerns. This is an example of a map showing the subject site and other similarly sized lots in the area. RRPD is recommending approval subject to three conditions. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you very much. So now I know where I got off track here. I thought there was a resolution coming before this, but this is, because there's no roads being
Okay.
constructed, there's no need for a resolution to open. Okay. So now I got it.
That should have been reversed.
Pardon?
This should have been reversed.
Yeah. So where is this exactly on Willis Road? This property? It comes off of Slater.
Yeah, it's currently it's a true lot fronting onto Willis Road and Slater Road.
718 Willis.
718 Willis?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, it is. I guess, do we got any questions for the planner on this proposal?
Can I just,
Go ahead.
can I just comment? This
Yep.
has been since Slater opened, it's been pretty, I guess, normal. It's been happening, and it was actually brought up even when that development was done to Slater, asking if those properties would be able to subdivide onto there. So it's not the first one, as you can see by the one the planner has pointed out to us, and it does keep going right down Slater like that, so.
Yes. Okay, I know where to look. Okay, I have it. Okay.
Yeah, like, I mean, it's, this is for another single-family house probably, and there's existing similarly sized lots, so
Yeah.
I'm okay with the subdivision application.
Yeah, I see the frontage is like 120 feet.
125 by 480 something.
Yeah. It's 1.42 acres, which is nice. So they got to decommission all of their septic fields and go into holding tanks?
Correct.
They're aware of that that's what has to be done?
It's one of the requirements from the environmental compliance and enforcement, so it has to be decommissioned and it has to be on the holding tanks.
Okay. So when it says that it doesn't impede, drainage does not impede anyone else's lot, what does that exactly mean?
That's a requirement from the RM. I think it's a standard requirements for subdivisions.
Yeah, usually some residents have concern that they build up their lot and it's going to flood out their lot, so I'm not too sure. Is that what that means? You can't flood out anyone else's lot by?
Yeah, that's exactly what it means, yeah.
Okay, that's good. I like that phrase, it's good. Anyone else have any questions? Or?
I'm ready to make a decision on it.
Okay.
Or support the resolution.
You need a mover and a seconder for this resolution?
Okay. Can I have a mover?
Second.
Councilor Campbell moves, Councilor Bichetti seconds.
Mr. Mayor, it is in here through environment, that the septic field be.
No, I know that, I read that, but I just wanted to make sure the homeowners know that, or the land developer
Right,
knows this. Not that they're surprised and they come along, I was just making sure. Okay, so any more discussions on this? Okay, I call for the vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None? Carried. So that ends our planning meeting.
Should we go down to extend?
Yeah. Have a good night, Mr. Ojo.
Yeah,
Thanks for coming out.
Yes.
We need to deal with some of these things in here. They're time sensitive in there.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So I guess we want to vote to extend.
Yes, you should.
Okay, and we want to, so when we extend, you just want to deal with the stuff that's in camera? Is that what you're looking for?
No, yeah, we can deal with that once we extend it. We'll extend it first.
Extend it and see
Yep.
where we end
Yeah.
up.
Okay. So can we have a resolution to extend?
So I'll move that we extend, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
Second.
I second it. Okay, we need to, I think we need a resolution.
We have a resolution. I move, resolutions, I move to extend the meeting
To 10:30.
to
Okay,
10:30.
oh, that's it? Okay.
Yes, then we have to vote on it.
And seconder is Councilor Campbell.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
Call the question.
Okay, call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None? Carried?
Okay.
Okay. So we go to.
Where do you want to go to?
Evaluation, state CAO.
Well, we'll go to
What-
the
How
stuff.
far do we think we're gonna get?
Well, you know what, I think what, you guys made a good suggestion, we should just do the stuff that's in camera. Once we finish the stuff that's in camera, then we
Okay.
can come back out and show you.
Payroll, the payment register, 'cause it's.
Okay, so we're gonna go into in camera first, if that's agreeable, that's.
Yeah.
Where are we?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll move that we go on camera, Mr. Mayor.
I got a resolution here. Be it
Oh, sorry.
resolved that in accordance with subsection 152(3) of the Municipal Act, do now move in camera to discuss matters that are preliminary stages respecting with which discussion in public could prejudice the municipality's ability to carry out its activity or negotiations and personnel. Be it further resolved that in accordance with subsection 83 of the Municipal Act, any issues that are discussed are kept confidential until discussed at a regular meeting of council. Could I have a mover, please?
I'll move that, Mr. Mayor.
Councilor Paquet moves. Can I have a seconder? Councilor Campbell seconds it. Any discussions? Seeing none, call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? None? Carried. Okay.
Good night.
Good. Anyways, okay, so we'll go ahead and we're out of camera now. So we're out of camera. Be it resolved that Council, okay, here it is, Rising Report. Is we've discussed a number of items, development agreements and wastewater collection system. And also with the CAO recruitment, we updated us on the status of that.
So we do have two resolutions for the development agreements.
Yes. So be it resolved that the Council of Rural Municipality of West St. Paul approve the development agreement, subdivision S222977, and be it further resolved. This is the one we have to have with conditions,
As amended.
as amended. S2 2022.
With amended fencing requirements?
With amendment, right, okay. Be it further resolved that the mayor and CEO be authorized to sign the development agreement. Could I have a mover, please?
I'll move.
Councilor Shetty moves, Councilor Shetty seconds it. Discussions, none, carried.
All
Aye.
in favor, aye, yeah.
All in favor, aye. 18.3.2, be it resolved that the rural municipality of West St. Paul approve the development agreement of subdivision 222985 with amendments.
Landscaping amendments to the north side of the Grassmere Drain?
Yep, right. Be it further resolved that the mayor and CEO be authorized to sign the development agreement. All in favor?
I'll move it.
Aye.
Or I'll move.
Councilor Shuff.
I'll second it.
Okay, we've got that.
Yeah.
Any questions? Vote, call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
It's getting late.
All opposed? None. Wastewater. Public hearing.
I can read the resolution if you
Yep.
like, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead, by all means.
Whereas, under Section 311 of the Municipal Act, a municipality by bylaw may undertake as a local improvement for the benefit of all or part of the municipality the acquisition, development, upgrading, or replacement of sewage collection. And whereas the Council of the Rural Municipality of West St. Paul passed resolutions 2023-170 and 2023-224, directing administration to proceed with a local improvement plan and bylaw with a special per parcel rate financing plan to undertake the expenditure and borrowing of money for the installation of a wastewater collection system for the area known as Hiawatha Avenue, Minnehaha Avenue, Kennebec Street, Nye Avenue, Baldock Street, and Evelyn Avenue, the area. And whereas an open house regarding the proposed installation of the wastewater system in the area was held on Tuesday, June 20th, 2023. And whereas the Council of the RM of West St. Paul has received and discussed the feedback provided from property owners in the area regarding their concerns related to the proposed local improvement plan. Now therefore, be it resolved that in consideration of the feedback provided by property owners, the Council of the Rural Municipality of West St. Paul will cancel the public hearing for the local improvement plan bylaw 2023-07 and the special meeting of council scheduled for July 20th, 2023. And further be it resolved that council direct administration to determine options available to reduce the borrowing required for the installation of a wastewater collection system in this area and to pursue additional grant funding for the project.
Could I have a mover, please? Councilor Bichetti moves, Councilor Campbell seconds. Any comments, questions?
So we will be sending out like hand delivering letters to show that this has been canceled to the residents.
We will provide hand-delivered notice to residents, and we will advertise in next week's Selkirk Record that it's been canceled, and we can do a social media post.
Email blast. all that.
Email
Okay.
blast, Facebook website, and Twitter accounts.
Okay.
Just want to applaud the administration and this council for having the fortitude to look for alternate solutions. It's a good motion.
Yep. Any other comments? Okay. Can I call for the vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? See none, carried. Pardon? Yeah, I know. So be it resolved that this meeting of, it's going to be 10:30, so we're going to be resolved, the meeting of council stand adjourned.
No, we have to say that they're gonna, the other items coming to a future meeting. We need to state that.
Yes.
To table the other items,
Table
please?
the other
Yes,
items.
yep.
Yeah.
It can just be a statement.
Yeah, we're going to table the other items. I have to say that first, okay?
Yeah,
We're
to
gonna
a future meeting.
To a future meeting. Be it resolved that this meeting of council stand adjourned at 10:31 PM. Can I have a mover, please? Councilor Bichetti moves, can I have a seconder? Councilor Campbell seconds. Any questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None carried.